Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's a violin prodigy. Her full name is Maggie the Stallion. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Embarrassing, mind-numbing, absolutely earth-shattering. The Dallas Cowboys lost to the Green Bay Packers. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. A lot more happened. Congrats to the Packers pulling off this upset. But we got to start with one of the shocking results from Super Wildcard Weekend, Perloff. The fact that Dallas was completely outplayed on their home field.
Well, we're going to play the blame game today, but yeah. I'm telling you, I have one group that needs to be blamed that I don't think other people are blaming.
Okay, who?
You,
Me?
Maggie Gray, you, Pete Bellotti, you, EJ Stewart, you, the audience. We all hyped up this Dallas team, got the expectations sky high, and they got nervous because everyone thought they were going to win. There was so much pressure in that building last night. They came out and choked from the opening kick on, and I think it was all the expectations on their back just weighed too much for them.
That is the ultimate loser energy. Blame everyone else around you for the expectations. Earth to the Cowboys, you're the Cowboys. That's the expectation.
You're the Cowboys, yeah.
Jerry
You lose
Jones.
in the playoffs.
Well, usually it's the second round. It's not wild card round where you are home, you're favored by a touchdown, you're facing the youngest team in the NFL, and your quarterback played terribly, your wide receivers played terribly, your defense played terribly, your coach was outclassed. You were embarrassed in every single facet. And I want to play the blame game. I really do. But I think there's a sense of not deja vu for a Cowboy fan, because I think this one actually cuts a little bit differently because you didn't lose to the better team in San Francisco, right? You didn't lose on the road in an embarrassing way. There was no drama around this leading up to the game. This isn't Tony Romo going to Cabo. There was nothing here. There was your team fully healthy in your own building where you'd won 16 straight, and you are now left to pick up the pieces. And I think the problem for the Packer fan is you can get rid of Mike McCarthy. Get rid of him. He was never really favored, I don't think, by this fan base anyway. Yes, you're winning 12 games. The Cowboys didn't need help winning regular season games. They needed help winning playoff games. So get McCarthy out. That's fine. The problem is the Dak Prescott piece of this, which is you don't have another answer here. You're paying him a ton. You're going to give him a contract extension because you're literally paying him too much next year. With $59 million, the way they set up his contract is super punitive for next season. So you have to give him an extension. You've got nowhere to turn.
Well, I don't think Dak is as big a problem as you do with a new coach. If you have Bill Belichick, he de-emphasizes the quarterback, makes it more of a team game. If you have Jim Harbaugh, he makes the quarterback better, gives everybody confidence. If you have Mike Vrabel, they're going to be a run team anyway. So I think I understand what you're saying. They are stuck with Dak Prescott contractually, but I mean, here's an option. Just have a different coach with Dak and try again. I know it's the best you got.
How many more coaches you want to do?
But one thing about the expectation, I think Dallas is, there was no drama. There was no Cabo. You're exactly right. But we should have probably been watching a little closer at the end of the season when they started to crumble. They went to Buffalo and didn't show up at all.
Yep.
But we all said, oh, it's cold. It doesn't matter. Then they lost to Miami, who we find out is a total fraud. And then they almost lost to Detroit, should have lost to Detroit. Yep. So the wheels were maybe getting a little loose, and I think we all ignored the evidence. And I'll be honest, I was the first one who thought they were going to kill Green Bay because Green Bay's defense couldn't stop anybody all season long. And now all of a sudden, they look like Reggie White was on the team. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe this Cowboys team, the expectations were too high because they are not that great a team.
No, I'm not backing off that.
I mean, do you really think that this team, yes, they should have won this game, but if you actually look at it, if you pull back, Maggie, do you really think this was a Super Bowl team?
Okay, well, yes, but not just because I literally picked them to go to the Super Bowl and win it, but that's besides the point. We're not talking about them losing in the NFC Championship game to San Francisco. We're not talking about them losing the Super Bowl. We're talking about them losing a wild card game at home where they were favored. I don't think it was too much to have an expectation that they were going to beat this Packer team. That to me was not, oh, it's our fault. We put too much hype around the Cowboys.
Well, we did.
Absolutely not.
We
No.
totally put too much hype around this team.
In a macro way, but I'm talking about micro in this moment for this game.
Yes.
Not a shot. This was properly hyped for the Cowboys. This was looked at as, wow, easy. Nothing's easy in the NFL. And congrats to the Packers. I mean, we're going to unpack this from their side of it, no pun intended. But we get a whole week to celebrate the Packers. We get another game for the Packers going to San Francisco now on Saturday night for the divisional round. Just unadulterated, just pain for Cowboy fans. And it's because, Dak now has to be in the label of choke artist. Biggest moments, he's disappearing. And again last night, I want to put more blame on the defense, but Dak throwing 2 bad interceptions put the defense in a horrible spot. So the defense was bad.
Come on. No.
Dak picks,
the Dak picks were not. The Packers got the game and got the ball at the beginning of the game and drove down. Nothing kills an opposing quarterback more than your run game, and they could not stop the run.
Aaron Jones was really the story of the game.
There's just no. Dak could have been perfect last night, and they would have lost by 3 touchdowns. That defense just couldn't get off the field because they couldn't stop Aaron Jones. Then in the second half, they just said, screw it, we give up. They didn't even try to tackle anybody on the Packers. But this is, to put it all on Dak makes no sense here.
Okay, well, yes, you spread the blame around when you lose 48-32, and that was a lot of window dressing at the very end. We know to make it look a little bit better. I mean, the Packers had pulled Jordan Love from the game for the backup and then had to put him back in when it got just a little bit snugger, but that was against backups. Okay, so you're right. Packers come down. They score on the opening drive. Okay, wow. Okay, Packers came to play. Young guys came to play. The second drive for the Dallas Cowboys, Dak throws the interception. The third drive, he takes a sack to take them out of field goal range. Cannot happen year 8. Cannot happen year 8 for Dak Prescott. And the fourth drive, the pick 6 to Darnell Savage, he returns for 64 yards. It was 27-0. It was over. And, first half for Dak Prescott, 87 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Woof. Just woof.
Oh, man, to me, first of all, Dak's coming back, but the big problem was Dan Quinn last night. Look at the drives. What was it, 80-yard drive and 90-yard drive, all running? I mean, come on. This is 2024 in the NFL. Nobody can run like that except the Niners. It just didn't make any sense. I know Aaron Jones is on a heater, 4 straight 100-yard game.
Yeah. But
the playoffs, you're just gonna get manhandled like that on defense.
Oh, the defense folded.
So if the defense had just played a normal game, then Dak could have had time to settle that. And it wasn't really just Dak. It was CDs. For some reason, CeeDee Lamb I have no idea what routes he was running and why he couldn't catch the ball in the first quarter. What happened? CeeDee Lamb was the best receiver in the NFL this year, and he forgot how to play football. Yeah. So to me, it was not just Dak Prescott at all.
Listen, the wide receivers let him down. They could not get open. They were not winning 50-50 balls. The Green Bay Packers secondary was physical on them. Yeah, you're right. I mean, CeeDee Lamb didn't catch his first pass until the 2-minute warning of the first half? 2 minutes left to go in the first half of the game, I believe. So,
I think I can win with Dak Prescott. You don't.
Oh, no.
I can win with Dak Prescott. I just
Not again. Can't fall for it again.
I need a run game, and I need a defense. I mean, honestly, how many times have people told us these Cowboys were going to run? Where was the run game last night?
Oh, 0.
Tony Pollard has looked slow all season long. So I think I can win with Dak. I just need a different coach.
Okay, but here's the thing. If you're like, I can win with Dak, I just need it to be led by a defense and a run game, then that's not a $50 million a year quarterback. Well, that's you're trying to game plan around your quarterback and give me someone else if you're going to do that. Because
who?
Well, I don't, not Dak, because I don't need, if I'm going to do that and I'm going to try to be great defense, which by the way, the Cowboys were a very good defense this year, and it didn't mean jack squad douche in this game. But you want to say, give me the defense, and we're going to be defense and a run game, then I can't have a quarterback taking up that much amount of my salary cap. I can't have a quarterback who's going to throw interceptions at the worst time. If I'm going to try to minimize the quarterback, then really have me minimize them and get into this game manager thing, which I know Dak has been accused of being a game manager. But really, don't put it all on his arm anymore. But then why am I paying him all this money? So again, rocking a hard place here for the Cowboys. And I feel for the fans because you got it last night, crystal freaking clear. Dak Prescott is never going to win you a Super Bowl. And you can cycle in and out of coaches. You can keep going. Jason Garrett and Mike McCarthy and bring in Belichick and bring in Jim Harbaugh. We could talk about this till the cows come home. You're not winning with Prescott.
Yeah, I don't see it that way. Because Matthew Stafford, you were winning with him, and then he won. Jared Goff, nobody thought you could win anything with him. And look, he's winning playoff games. This is not all on Dak at all. And Dak, listen, they had the number one offense in the league. They were the best offense this year. The problem last night, the bigger, most glaring problem to me was that defense. Like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Stephon Gilmore, I'm sorry, you're done.
Well,
and then
it's okay. He's like 35.
So Deron Bland, Mr. Defensive Player of the Year, no, that he needs help. Obviously, then he digs back there. But there's some real problems. I think your first turn is coaching. And I don't even blame Mike McCarthy 100% because the pressure was so ridiculous on him that I mean, honestly.
Perloff, you're giving him an out where he does not deserve one.
We all overrated this Dallas team. We just did. We thought this was a Super Bowl roster, and it just was not. And it is not. But you're going to have to try. Jerry's a bit older. You're going to have to take some wild swings. I think there's one person who can fix this. I'll save it. But I think Jerry has to take some wild swings because it's not a Super Bowl roster. You really need the best coaching available. And Mike McCarthy, I think, did a good job this year. I'm not actually killing Mike McCarthy, but he's not the guy. He's not going to get you over the hump. I mean, how can you kill Mike McCarthy? He's won 12 games 3 years in a row. He's a good coach.
I did not hire Mike McCarthy to win regular season games.
Well, you didn't
have a championship.
I can do that with some other dude. I didn't hire him for that. I hired him because I thought he was a Super Bowl winning head coach and that he could help this team win a Super Bowl. Meanwhile, they didn't let him call plays the first 2 years, which I didn't really get, but whatever.
But are you going to give him credit for what he did offensively this year? I mean,
not really. Not today, I'm not. No, no, not today. Should we hear a little sound? Let's hear from the people who actually had an impact on this game on the field. Let's hear first from Dak Prescott because... No, first let's hear from Mike McCarthy. How about cut 13? He was asked if he's worried about his job after this embarrassing loss.
I think this could lead to a coaching change.
I think the biggest thing is, we're disappointed. I got a whole team in the locker rooms that's hurting, and that's I haven't thought past the outcome of this game.
Yeah, what about the countless numbers of fans around the world who are also hurting after watching that slop? All right, here's Dak Prescott saying if Mike McCarthy is going to be on the hot seat, well, you got to point the finger at me too.
He's been amazing. I don't know how there can be, but I understand the business. In that case, it should be about me as well, honestly. I mean, that guy, I've had the season that I've had because of him. This team has had the success that they've had because of him. And I understand it's about winning the Super Bowl, and that's the standard of the league and damn sure the standard of this place. So I get it, but add me to the list in that case.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It's not about the regular season for the Cowboys. It's not. Because they don't give out trophies for 12 wins. They don't give out trophies for regular season stuff. And the Cowboys want the smoke, Perloff. They want all that. Star on the helmet, Jerry talking about Super Bowls all the time. But now, when they lose, it's like, no, you were putting too many expectations on them.
First of all, I'm the only one saying that. Don't blame the audience for that.
No, we got it in the chat a little bit too. And good morning, by the way.
Do you see that? But you have to understand, Maggie,
Yes.
that star goes on the helmet. It's like Duke basketball or Notre Dame football. Everyone thinks that person is a superstar when in reality, they might not be that.
Well, Duke actually wins every now and again. So maybe
but
we
generally there is
that
definitely
one.
mystique about that blue star. And I think that we overrate players. We've done it forever. I remember Leighton Vander Esch came into the league and was all of a sudden Lawrence Taylor until we realized, oh, he's not that good. Actually, they missed him. But regardless, I just generally think that we hype up Dallas Cowboys. I think we overrate their roster to some extent. And there's proof in the pudding that what have they ever won?
But then you can't have it both ways. Are we hyping the roster or are they a 12-win team that's really good?
They're a 12-win team.
Because if you're just a bad roster that the media is propping up, then how do you win 12 games? I'm telling you that's not enough.
I'm not saying a bad roster, but they certainly were not a favorite to come out of this NFC.
They were a favorite in this game.
They were favored in this. Yeah, they blew it. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Nobody's going to defend them on that. But I'm just saying, I do think part of this is unrealistic expectations in Dallas, as always. That That is the cornerstone. Forget America's team. This is the unrealistic expectation team.
They won the division. What are you talking about? I don't want to. I'm not going to be gaslit here by the people who say it's my fault for being disappointed that the Cowboys lost. Impossible.
Well, that's true. When you word it like that, yes.
No.
You say, yeah, I mean.
No, this is not a me problem. This is not a fans problem. This is not a media problem.
I think that
this is a Cowboys problem.
I think that begs the question. Have you ever watched a Dallas Cowboys playoff game before? Like, what did you expect?
Of course.
I mean, I admit, I thought they were going to kill the Packers, but about the second quarter in, I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember this. Okay, this all makes sense. Oh, the universe is back in order. The Cowboys are post Jimmy Johnson are choking playoff game. You have to admit, like, you can't be that shocked by what happened.
I don't know if you tweeted this or if you just put it in our group chat, which was a 14-0. You're just like, panic time. Panic time. And it felt like it.
7-0, I was cool. I'm like, would you stop firing Mike McCarthy at 7-0? Then 14-0 when the Packers ran the ball again. I'm like, oh, this is over.
It was, and It was over. We've got Jerry Jones sound for you. We've got a lot more to get to from Super Wildcard Weekend. Not over, by the way. Not only do we have our Monday Night Football game, which is Perloff's Eagles against the Bucks, my Buffalo Bills suddenly are playing today, too, against the Steelers at 4:30 Eastern time.
We're both on duty.
I know.
This is, I mean, how often do the Bills and the Eagles play a playoff game on the same day? I'm just so exhausted from yesterday's playoff. And the Cowboys, wrapping your head around that disaster, I will admit.
Yeah.
And then we had a good game last night, and now we both have to play tonight. I mean, we are warriors, Maggie.
I know. My alarm went off at 3:30 a.m. My first thought was, game day?
Yeah,
no.
I know. It doesn't feel like game day.
I still feel cold from watching the Chiefs Dolphins. I'm still freezing. 855, just from watching it. 855-212-4CBS. We're doling out some blame here on that Cowboys loss. I think, listen, a lot of places, you're picking the most blame because it can seriously go around. And I think that Cowboy fans have to be beside themselves because you know you're not winning with Dak. And now you got to pay him. So bring in another coach. Well, who cares? You're not going to win if the quarterback's throwing picks like that. He's killing you. 855-212-4CBS. We've got Jerry's sound. We've got our thoughts on who the next head coach of the Cowboys should be. But we want to hear from you. 855-212-4CBS. Also, gloating Packer fans. You are welcome to get in on this conversation as well. 855-212-4227. Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. We're coming off a 403-yard, 3-touchdown performance by Dak Prescott. Pretty darn good, Maggie.
That's one way to put it.
By the way,
the box score does not really tell the story.
Not exactly. I will say one thing. I'm actually surprised he only threw 2 interceptions yesterday.
Felt like more.
Well, it just
one bounced off of the other guy.
They were early, so there was a certain point in the game. It looked like Dak was about to have 9 interceptions. Like nothing was working in the first quarter, and they did settle down. As down as you are in the Cowboys, was there a moment where you thought, okay, maybe they're going to do a Jags-Chargers thing? Because the Packers guy missed an extra point, and then the Cowboys stormed down and finally scored. They did settle down and look like themselves. Yes. That was pure panic the first quarter. That's what I saw in the Cowboys' faces. CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott fighting after this incredible season they had together. To me, that is pressure. That is not living up to the moment. I blame the head coach. So I understand Dak was not great, but to me, unfortunately, Mike McCarthy did not have them ready to play.
No, I'm blaming Dak a lot in this one because this is the game you cannot lose. You know, this is the game where after 8 years and after more playoff disappointments than success, you were favorites. You were healthy. I mean, look around the league. You've got some people, look at the Browns, you know, they got blown out. They had on their 4th quarterback. Like, you're lucky. You've got your offensive line, you know, mostly. You've got every guy from training camp who was healthy, right? And so,
but Dak wasn't going to win that game. The defense had no prayer against the Packers. I mean, they barely stopped the entire game. And if the Packers really wanted to turn it on, they could have scored 70 points, Dolphin style.
I know. I thought that. So you're asking me when I thought there was a chance that the Cowboys could come back. Yes, there was. It was right after halftime. Now, they get the ball first. So they had scored right before the half. And like literally with 2 seconds left to go in the first half, they finally get on the board and it's 27-7. They're getting the ball to start the third quarter. They'll go on a 12-play drive that ends in a field goal.
Yeah,
so
that
kind of
hurt.
disappointing, but at least you're on the board. So it's 27-10. And what happens? Green Bay goes right down 5 plays later. They score. I was like, oh, good night. And I know that Dallas scored on the next drive, but then Green Bay scored on the next drive. Like, Green Bay was relentless. And even when the Packers were facing adversity, like a bad penalty or a drop or whatever, they just kept coming. Like, they had something else, another left hook to give you, even after they took a couple body blows.
Yeah, usually when you have that big lead, you slow down, you run the ball, you try and kill the clock. I was shocked that Green Bay kept coming at him, exactly like you described. You thought that, okay, the team with the lead is going to be very conservative here.
Yeah.
And then Jordan Love would just find a wide open guy 30 yards downfield.
Yeah, it's like, holding call? You want to put me in 3rd and 8? Like,
Yeah.
right, now I'm just going to find Romeo Dobbs for 40 yards.
Yeah, it's shocking because Dan Quinn, the defense coordinator of the Cowboys, was his hot coaching candidate. Glazer still said he has 4 interviews lined up. Jay Glazer of Fox, that is, still has 4 interviews lined up. What happened? How could this happen? That's the part I understand. Dak choking, I can understand that. The defense falling apart like this. I mean, last year's loss, they lost to the Niners. It was a 19-12 game.
Yep.
At least the defense showed up. This complete no-show at home is baffling to me. So I put more of it on an overall team pressure thing. You put it also big time on Dak. And I think our disagreement, I think you can win with Dak with a different coach.
No.
I think you bring in a legend or you bring in an up-and-coming legend, then I think you can win with him.
Oh, man. I mean, I don't see it because, again, you're asking when we'll talk about coaching candidates, right? So you want to bring in, a Bill Belichick. You want to bring in maybe Jim Harbaugh could help.
Yes,
but
I want to bring in Jim Harbaugh.
Say you bring in Belichick, who's now the odds-on favorite to become the next head coach, right?
Okay.
So you want to try to sort of minimize Dak. You really want the defense to be the thing. You want the run game to be the thing. I can't pay Dak $50 million then. And that's exactly what he's in line for. And Belichick wouldn't play like that, but he's not the GM of this team. He would be the coach and the coach only.
That's why I'm not as excited about Belichick because honestly, you could have anybody. You could have Tom Brady in his prime and Bill Belichick would try to control the offense and everything. Like he wants his quarterback to do exactly what he wants to do. So I don't think you need Dak with Bill. I think Jim Harbaugh could get the best out of Dak Prescott. Honestly, Jim gets guys fired up in a way that I think the Cowboys would not have been so panicky last night. I think they would have been confident. So to me, that's the guy that remember. So listen, they hired Parcells, right?
Yep.
In around the end of the 1990s. That's the Bill Belichick hire, and he was good, but he didn't take them all the way. But
nobody's been able to.
Well, Jimmy Johnson did.
Yeah.
To me, Jim Harbaugh is the new Jimmy Johnson, a guy who's coming off college success and doesn't know any better. He's just going to get your team so fired up. So I feel like Harbaugh is the next Jimmy Johnson, whereas Bill Belichick is the next Bill Parcells,
right,
which will get you somewhere. But Harbaugh, he wanted a team in Michigan that could never win. I think Harbaugh is just such an inspirer in this weird, odd Jim Harbaugh way.
Sure.
That I think that Cowboys would not be a panic in the playoff team with him. So that's my hire, and I think he can actually win with Dak Prescott. I understand what you're saying. Listen, Dak has not been great.
No.
But Dak during the regular season has been great. And I think he's a bit underrated as a quarterback. Everyone was killing him. No one thought he was going to have an MVP-like season, and he had a great season.
Okay, but the thing about Dak is the home road splits were always going to be there, right? Where the road games look pretty bad. The home games look great, which is why I thought they had a chance to win this game by 2 scores. Boy, was I wrong. They lost it by 2 scores. I like Jim Harbaugh, and I'm on record, and I get to say it again because they didn't play the game yet. Win or lose tonight for Buffalo, I want Jim Harbaugh there because I've seen Jim Harbaugh do his best work with running quarterbacks. Seriously.
Yeah,
J.J. McCarthy is one of them, and obviously Colin Kaepernick being the other one. I think that Josh Allen is more in the vein. Dak Prescott, the Packers would let Dak Prescott run as much as he wanted to last night. They know that's not what's killing him.
No, I was only laughing because Jim Harbaugh and Bill Belichick are basically scouting the wild card round. They might have a choice at Dallas, Buffalo, and Philadelphia. If Philadelphia loses tonight as well, guess who's going to get the first call? Bill Belichick. So it's really funny to me that everyone has the same answer. Losing the wild card, let's call a future Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah, makes sense. 855-212-4CBS. Let's hear a little Jerry sound. Jerry Jones, that is, none other, pounding his fist in the owner's box. Quite a show he put on last night. He says this is the most disappointing playoff loss he can remember.
This seems like the most painful because we all had such great expectation and we had hope for this team, and thought that we were aligned in great shape, and but it didn't happen for us, and it's as fresh on me right now as it is on anybody else.
By the end of today's show, we will have the definitive list of the 5 most disappointing Dallas Cowboys playoff losses in the Jerry Jones era.
Unfortunately, it's hard to come up with just 5.
Well, you have honorable mentions.
Yeah, it's the fact that he said this is the most painful loss, and everyone's like, wait, you had some real heartbreakers in the past.
Yeah.
I do think that Jerry was buying the hype this year. I think Jerry thought, I do believe him. I think he thinks he had a Super Bowl team this year.
Yeah, you think? Jerry said he had no thoughts on coaching changes or personnel.
I don't have any thoughts about the reasons why or anything to do with the coaching, anything to do about the players. I want to give Green Bay a lot of compliments and credit. This is one of my most surprises since I've been involved in sport, period.
Yeah. So for Jerry, I mean, listen, the intrigue grows around the Cowboys this offseason. He gets what he wants, which is going to be all this attention because you're going to go through now a coaching thing, and we're going to talk about Dak, and Jerry loves the attention, and that to me has always been more intoxicating to him than an actual Super Bowl would be. He likes to keep his team in the news, and with this awful loss, believe me, they're going to be in the news now. Andrew Bogusch is here. He's got headlines, etc.
Good morning, everybody. Those headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today.
Can Mike McCarthy? Sorry. Can we put McCarthy's resume on that? Looking for a new career?
Hope he's listening because he probably needs to make a call or two.
LinkedIn.
Super wild card weekend wasn't too super or wild, at least in terms of drama, until last night in Detroit. A first half shootout shifting to a field goal battle in the second half with the Lions, that is, left standing.
There's Goff back, looking, throws. It is caught. Amon-Ra St. Brown, first down. That's going to do it. That's going to do it. That's going to do it. Jared Goff delivers against his former team. Now all they have to do is take a knee 3 times, and this game will be over.
Dan Miller on Lions radio. Jared Goff's final completion, letting him and Detroit kneel out a 24-23 win over LA.
It was surreal. You know, it was something that you kind of imagined for so long. From the moment I got here, you imagine getting that playoff win and having this type of atmosphere in front of our home crowd, and being able to sit on the ball like that and finish it out. And it kind of all hit me there.
Wow, fiery Jared Goff there. Jeez, you just won a playoff game, dude. Let's get some energy.
Want to find Hulk Hogan? What do you want from him?
I don't know. He's just the most laid-back guy in the history of the NFL. But one thing, give credit to the local broadcaster. They did the math right. Collinsworth and Tirico had no idea that they could kneel it out there. He's like, I don't think it's quite over, but it's looking bad. And was anyone else scrambling to do the math there with the 3 kneel downs?
Well, that and Burkhardt and Greg Olsen were all out of whack at the end of the first half of the Cowboy-Packer game when Dallas was driving and there was a penalty inside the one. Yeah. Like the clock is stopped. I thought Olsen was calling it an untimed down at one point. Like they were all out of sorts with what was going on in that situation.
Oh, also when there was a penalty on the 2-point conversion, what game was that?
That was Dallas Packers.
Yeah.
Oh, they were. Is that what you're talking about, or no?
No. This is the end of the first half when they end up scoring.
Right.
They actually ran 2 plays with 6 seconds left because it was CeeDee Lamb short of the goal line, but there was a holding call.
Right.
With the 2-point conversion where Dak tossed out little thing that worked, and they called 2 penalties. They called it illegal offensive lineman down the field and a pick play. The announcers were stymied. They're like, "Oh, thank you for explaining what happens there." They didn't know that you moved the kickback, which I like. I like an honest announcer because the rules are so complicated.
So again, the Lions win 24-23. Goff just 5 incompletions, 277 yards and a TD against his former team. Matthew Stafford just as good in his return to Detroit, 367 yards and 2 scores. But it was his offense settling for 2 short field goals in the second half. They also burned 2 timeouts early in that half, preventing them from extending the game late. So the Lions hadn't had a home playoff game since '94. Now they're getting 2 in the same postseason. The first time in franchise history. They'll host the Eagles or the Bucks next Sunday afternoon. The Packers get to play in San Francisco. That's Saturday night after thumping those Cowboys in Dallas 48-32. The most points the Cowboys have ever allowed in a postseason game. Dak Prescott and company also hadn't lost at home since week 1 of last season.
From the beginning of the game, we got beat. There's no other which way around it, no way to sugarcoat it. Obviously, I didn't play well, and shock.
And now we get to Jim Harbaugh, Michigan's head coach, expected to interview with the Chargers this week. The Raiders apparently showing some interest as well, even though Antonio Pierce impressed as the interim coach. Vegas stud D lineman Max Crosby certainly likes playing for AP, so he said this recently on his podcast.
I'm gonna have to, consider everything. I honestly, nothing's off the table. Clearly, I made it loud and clear that I want to be a Raider for life. I want to be here. I want to win here. I want to retire here. But if you go and start from scratch again, I got to consider everything. From everything, including
a trade out of Vegas. Yeah. Crosby has been mad since they hired Josh McDaniels instead of keeping interim coach Rich Bisaccia the last time they were in this same spot.
This isn't helping anything if you're Max Crosby, because part of what he said is he's like, all right, go with AP, and if it doesn't work, well, it doesn't work. It's like, if it doesn't work, you're also going to be asking for a trade. Can't really go by what Max Crosby's thinking about in this instance, no?
And I totally agree. And the Raiders, you get this feeling it won't work not because of Antonio Pierce, not because of Max Crosby. Is this ownership group going to have a winner? Because it's been a long time.
Well, maybe he's right. Maybe Max Crosby and Devontae Adams should have more of a say than Mark Davis at this point, right? He's shown that he really can't hire a coach. But at the same time, you need a general manager, you need a coach, you need a quarterback. If you miss on any 3 of those hires, it doesn't matter. Max Crosby will be asking for a trade. It might be now or it might be 3 years from now.
Yeah,
2 years from now.
That's another team. I go all in on Harbaugh because Harbaugh's like the full package. He'll give you the GM and the coach. He'll change everything. Talk about it. And I like Antonio Pierce. He's big around here in New York.
Yeah.
He's screwed if he goes there because they're going to win 7 games. I'm sorry. I got to start all over.
You don't think a good quarterback, finding a better quarterback?
Well, I don't know
with Pierce?
No, I don't think so. I think their ceiling is 10 wins with a good quarterback there. Not because of Pierce. I just think that team, look at them, last how many years since they've been really a contender.
But if the Raiders are winning 10 games a year, then Antonio Pierce is going to be safe as the Raiders head coach. And that would be an upgrade of what they've been doing.
But I'm saying that's a ceiling. I think with Jim Harbaugh, you sort of start over and say, hey, can we build a Super Bowl team? Unfortunately for Pierce, do you guys really, is anybody going to pick them for the Super Bowl next year with Antonio Pierce?
No, but I wouldn't pick them if Jim Harbaugh was their head coach.
Right.
Yeah, but I would give, Harbaugh is going to come in and say, I'm going to change everything about this organization. You need a total organizational redo.
As opposed to someone who was in the organization sort of continuing.
Yeah.
The biggest thing to be is quarterback. What are you doing?
Right.
Where are you finding this? But this person, who is this person? Is this another Band-Aid retread person? Are you going to try to make a move in the draft?
And Antonio Pierce, I know he was quote-unquote in the organization, but it's not like McDaniels was a Raiders lifer. He just got there himself and got fired very quickly. Antonio Pierce never played for the Raiders, never worked for the Raiders, so I don't know if he necessarily can't bring that organizational change that you're talking about, Perloff. It's not like this is a guy that's been, immersed in the Raider failures. In fact, it sounds like he came in and was a breath of fresh air there.
Yeah.
Well, I would think, though, a guy like Harbaugh could have so much influence that whatever they've done on the personnel side for the last 10 years, you're going to do it totally different.
Right.
That's the thing, and it's not against Antonio Pierce. It's more the GM side, too, because you got to limit Mark Davis's ability to influence his team.
Yeah, well, I don't think Mark Davis is trying to pick players, though. I don't think this is a Dan Snyder thing where he comes in off the yacht and tells them, hey, pick Dwayne Haskins, over whatever. I don't think he's doing that. I think that he has too many voices in his ear.
Yeah.
And I think, our friend Amy Trask basically said as much. He's listening to everybody from Jim Gray, the sportscaster, to goodness knows who, guys sitting next to him playing blackjack at the Bellagio.
Yeah, that's a good reason to have Harbaugh. Harbaugh's not going to listen to anybody. He'll just do it his way.
But does that work? I mean, if the owner, first of all, I don't know if I share your confidence in Harbaugh as the GM. And then if the owner is telling him to do things and he's like, nah, I'm good. Like, you need to trust Mark Davis to actually shut up here. And I don't even know if he does that with Harbaugh.
Well, let me ask you this. Antonio Pierce, I think you're, I don't know if you're playing devil's. If he's the coach next year, are you picking the Raiders to do anything?
No, because my problem remains Mark Davis. I don't trust Mark Davis to not be Mark Davis with anybody.
Yeah.
See, I think Mark Davis wants to go away. I think he doesn't want to. I think that he wants someone else. Like, you don't hire John Gruden if you really want to have your say in stuff. Like, because he's a huge personality.
Yeah, there's just organizational dysfunction there. And I think you really need a radical change. Honestly, gosh, it'd be good for a Raiders fan if they sold the team too.
He's just made the wrong choices, bottom line. And Antonio Pierce, I think, had a culture there, and he was establishing something. And other teams think that too because they're interviewing him. So he's going to get a job somewhere else regardless of what happens.
A head coaching job?
Either a head coaching job or a defensive coordinator job.
Yeah. Maybe.
So he's on the radar of other people. Other teams in the league have noticed.
And I think when we talk about the ceiling for the Raiders next season, I mean, it has nothing to do with Antonio Pierce. It has nothing to do with Mark Davis. It's Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah.
It's the quarterback. Nobody thinks the team is any good. But we've seen, even with this crappy team, Antonio Pierce was able to win a little bit. Something that we saw, obviously, McDaniels wasn't able to do. So I think in terms of, like, I understand the Harbaugh love, and he deserves it for a lot of reasons. For me, though, with Pierce, I just feel like if they get a great quarterback next year, I mean, yeah, maybe they can go to the playoffs. I don't know.
They're picking 13th, so might be a little tough. What else we got, folks?
We've got Arizona Wildcats head coach Jed Fish replacing Kalen DeBoer at Washington. It's a 7-year deal, reportedly worth $7.75 million annually. DeBoer, meanwhile, losing some weapons in Tuscaloosa. Wideout Isaiah Bonds transferring to Texas. In 2025, high school wideout Jamie French Jr. decommitting from the Tide. Devin Booker scored 34, 23 from Bradley Beal, 21 for KD. Their Suns a 127-116 win in Portland. Victor Wembanyama also losing this one with Scoot Henderson scoring a career-high 33 to further hurt Wemby's chances at Rookie of the Year. And Coco Gauff among the winners on day 2 at the Aussie Open. Guys, back to you.
Andrew Bogusch, thank you so much. See you guys on the phones. You want to weigh in on what we saw Super Wild Card Weekend. Victory for some, but carnage for teams like the Dallas Cowboys. We're doling out blame here. Again, 855-212-4CBS. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, we're back in moments.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone restrictions apply. We were just in the break talking about Maggie and Perloff are sticking to their New Year's resolution. We are killing the gym. I blew out my elbow by doing one pull-up this weekend. No big deal. I can't even lift a spoon to eat cereal anymore. Maggie apparently was doing some sort of. Were you like carrying ropes? A tire? Okay,
yeah, I was like pushing a big tire over and doing the ropes like I'm getting ready to check in for the Detroit Lions on defense. And I was afraid I wasn't gonna be able to drive home. I don't think I should operate a car. I'm so tired. 855-212-4CBS. Let's hit the phones after Super Wildcard Weekend. Clearly disappointment in Dallas, but that means major celebration going on in Wisconsin. Denny is there. Wants to talk about the Packers. Denny, congratulations to your pack.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I love your show. You guys all compliment each other really great.
Thank you.
But I got to give something to Perloff today. How can you say, I mean, he's as bad as Olsen and Burkhardt were broadcasting. I mean, they dominated Dallas in every aspect of the game they could. 27-7 at halftime. The score didn't even reflect how bad it was. And they also took the ball in the kickoff, which teams usually defer till the second half. to make a statement.
Yeah.
I was just as kind of in awe as you guys were, and Joe Barry, his prevent to win defense, actually played pretty decent, and our receivers, Dallas was so mixed up, they didn't know what was going on.
It's true.
Yeah.
Wait, what's the problem with Perloff? He's been saying that.
Am I not giving enough credit to the Packers in your opinion?
I just thought, I think for the youngest team in the NFL, and I mean, I didn't give any credit to Love. I didn't think he was going to make it as a starting quarterback.
Yep.
And he has just amazed me.
Okay, Denny, I was all in on Jordan Love in the offseason. Then he started off. Remember, this Packers team was bad the first half of the year. They were
horrible.
They could only get to a field goal by the first half. But I'll tell you one thing. I was shocked. I lost a bet against the Panthers 3 weeks ago. They let up 30 points to the Panthers. I had no idea the defense was going to be as good as it was yesterday. That shocked me.
They were physical.
And you know what, though, guys?
Yeah.
I had the same thing. I had Joe Barry prevent not to win defense. I don't know how he can do it. I mean, they did it
secondary
yesterday.
showed up. And the pass rush, but the secondary showed up, and they were so physical, I thought, Denny, and congratulations to your Packers, and hope to be hearing from you again. They're so physical. I think it kind of threw Dallas off a little bit, and that was the thing. Like, Dallas at times has gotten criticized for not being a tough team. And then Dan Quinn gets a hold of the defense, and it's like, all right, well, I guess these guys are tough. And then last night, I don't know, the offense, if you're a wide receiver for Dallas, I mean, listen, you just got to be sick. We said they were a receiver short.
Yes.
It was evident yesterday. So Jerry Jones, the general manager, should take a lot of heat.
Yep.
Obviously, Mike McCarthy, you couldn't even get the ball really to CeeDee Lamb in a meaningful way until it felt like it was too late.
Lamb looked nervous to start the game, which
want to
was
get hit
strange.
Or something. I don't know.
It even got to the point McCarthy had to come and talk to CeeDee Lamb on the bench. I don't think he chewed him out because that's not their relationship, but there was something going on there. You're right. They need a strong number 2 receiver, like a Steph. I hate to say it, like pay up for a Stephon Diggs or somebody. You need a compliment to CD. That's why Dak threw that second interception, because he was trying to get CD involved, and they forced it. So it's a bigger picture than just Dak to me.
Let's go to Rashawn is in Dallas. Hey, Rashawn, how are you?
Hey, how y'all doing this morning, man? Thanks for taking my call.
You got it. Tell us what the vibe is like in Dallas today. I imagine it's got to feel like a funeral.
Yes, it was like a funeral, man. Just unbelievable. Like, first of all, I'm at the airport because I'm from Baltimore. I flew out this weekend.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, the Ravens are still in it if you're looking for another team.
yes, the Ravens are still in it. So hopefully they won't disappoint next week for whoever they play, man. But this Cowboys team, man, like, nobody expected this yesterday at all, man. Like, it's just, you don't know what point to blame at. I mean, I know Dak had the 2 interceptions, but this defense too, man, just couldn't make a stop at all.
Yep.
And
wait, so were you one of the fans that left?
No way. I stayed. Nah, I paid too much money to leave. I flew out here, flight tickets and hotels, rental cars. Nah, I stayed to the end, and just chatted it up with the Packers fans and congratulated them, man, because they didn't really think they had a chance either. The ones that came.
Wow.
But,
Rashawn, you're a classy guy, because I think a lot of people in your position wouldn't have been that nice to the Packer fans, and also probably would have been headed to the bar or something.
Yeah, man. But the Packers fans are nice. They're not like Eagles fans, though. They wasn't goat and they wasn't in nobody's face. It wasn't no fights I seen. The only fights I seen was between Cowboy fans, believe it or not, at the stadium. Yeah. So it's just, man, sad. And moving forward, I think I don't know if Dak is the answer. I know he's due $60 million next year, so I don't know if they're going to extend him to try to save some money or just let him play out with his contract. And Mike McCarthy has to be gone. Like, I hope Jerry don't keep him around. But we've seen in the past, he kept Jason Garrett around for all them seasons, going 8-8. So I just don't know what the answer is now. But
Rashawn,
Jerry make the right decision.
They're looking for answers, and thank you so much for the phone call and safe travels back to Baltimore.
Jerry McCarthy is under contract, as Jerry pointed out earlier this season. So maybe there's
1 more year.
Yeah, I know. I mean, maybe there's a puncher's chance that he comes back. I think it looks bad.
If they bring Mike McCarthy back, it will prove one of my long-held theories about Jerry Jones, that he doesn't care about winning, really.
Yeah. And it's one of my long-held disagreements with you because I do not buy. He looked crushed last night.
You know what? This creates more intrigue for the Cowboys this offseason. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's the most powerful owner. If he doesn't do something here, it means he's fine with just good enough. He just wants to win headlines, not Super Bowls. 855-212-4CBS. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's been on the TB12 method since he was 6. She's on her 3rd scotch. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Love takes, handoff goes to Aaron Jones, spinning his way to the end zone. He's in for the touchdown. And the Packers take a 13-0 lead.
That was Aaron Jones' second of 3 touchdowns in the wild card round. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Domination by the Packers, and especially Aaron Jones. 21 carries, 118 yards, ripping off 5 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. I mean, Jordan Love, Perloff, gets a lot of the accolades because he deserves it. Explosive plays, threw for 272 yards, only missed on 5 passes. Also threw 3 touchdowns, but Aaron Jones set the tone from the beginning drive for Green Bay.
Well, what did we know about this Dallas defense? The one thing that their vulnerability was the run game. We saw it when they went to Buffalo and got gashed by the run game. The Eagles gashed them in the home game. So the Packers give Matt LaFleur so much credit. He immediately started picking on the weakness of that defense. Don't let Micah Parsons go downhill. I mean, Parsons, they had to hold him twice, and they actually got the calls this time. But generally, Dallas's defense, we knew the vulnerability. And Green Bay, to their credit, they rode Aaron Jones. Yeah, I know that's a great point. Jordan Love's getting the credit, but Aaron Jones is the star of this team right now. And that homecoming to Dallas, you could tell from that first drive, I'm like, whoa, he's feeling it.
Man, there's got to be so many uncomfortable conversations happening around the Dallas Cowboys today and the next coming weeks. And I'm talking uncomfortable for not just the head coach and Mike McCarthy, who probably sealed his fate with an exit. I mean, he may as well have listed his house at halftime. Now, Jerry Jones is unpredictable in that in a time when everyone would say, fire the coach, and so many times he would not do it, right? He would not go with the crowd, go with the grain. I don't know how you stand pat, sit on your hands and say, well, Mike McCarthy won in year 5 in Green Bay. He'll win year 5 in the Dallas Cowboys. You don't have that kind of time. And if I'm McCarthy, I'm having an uncomfortable conversation. If I'm Dan Quinn, I'm having an uncomfortable conversation. Not just with the Cowboys, but the other coaching interviews that I'm doing. How'd you let the youngest team in the league come in, who's a 7-point underdog, come in and push you around? That would be uncomfortable. Dak Prescott has to be having an uncomfortable conversation. Like, you're never going to win, dude. Congrats, you're rich. Good, you'll be richer, and you're a good quarterback, but you can't win with Dak. And that's the final one, Perloff, where I stop, because there's nothing, I don't see an easy fix for the Prescott situation for the Dallas Cowboys.
I think you can win with Dak. I think he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I just think that there's a couple holes in this offense. One, they had no run game this year. Tony Pollard got paid and got slow. I mean, got paid for a running back. The other problem, it's the same thing that happened with last year in San Francisco, and it's happened in many previous games. When you have one real wide receiver target, and that's CeeDee Lamb, you become so predictable. It's like James Harden with the basketball in his hand. You know where the ball is going all the time. So I think it killed them last night. And the fact that CeeDee Lamb was a little nervous or something, he had one drop that he always catches, that just killed him. He settled down and played better at the end. But they need a legit, complete offense. They need a second wide receiver who's a real threat. I think Jake Ferguson's emerged as a really good tight end.
Yeah, 10 catches last night.
And they need a better run game. So I think, honestly, their offense is going to be exciting next year. And that's the thing. They had the number 1 scoring offense in the league this year. So that is not where I'm starting over. And I'm starting over. You need to get big on defense. You need some horses who can stop the run and then who can help Micah Parsons dominate. Honestly, I look at defense and I look at number 2 wide receiver, and I'm ready to go next year.
You want to know what I say to the people who will point to the Cowboys offense and say they were number 1 or whatever the metric was this year? Who cares? Who cares? Like 12 wins, apparently the Cowboys can do in their sleep. So I'm not impressed by that at all. And the coach that they brought in, the amount you're paying your quarterback, that to me is not for 12 wins. That apparently winning the division, what does it matter? Because if you get embarrassed like that in your home stadium, like you can even go back last year, okay, Dak Prescott had a really bad game against San Francisco, a game they were underdogs on the road. This is favorites at home. You hadn't lost a game in Dallas in 16 games. It was 2 years since you lost a game there, and then you come in and no-show a playoff game. I mean, that is just beyond, it's unforgivable is what it is.
It is, but you're telling me you won't fall for it next year? Let me give you a scenario. What if they add Derrick Henry and Stephon Diggs in the offseason? Their offense is going to be a juggernaut.
Doesn't matter because Dak Prescott not showing up for these big games is what is holding them back, along with bad coaching.
It's not on Dak last night. It's on the entire team. It's on the coach.
You're so kind.
I mean, honestly, Bill Belichick would never have a defense let that happen. I'm not super excited about Belichick because the timeline, talking about pressure to win, you got to win immediately with Belichick. I bring in a Jim Harbaugh and build a program over 3 years to win a Super Bowl. Kind of change the way you've been doing things. And Harbaugh, love him or hate him, he's definitely going to change things. So I'm going to start over, look at a 5-year window to win a Super Bowl with Harbaugh, not try to win immediately with Belichick. But again, how can you say this is all Dak when that defense just did not show up at all last night?
Listen, I put it on the defense also, but, Dak throwing that interception early put the defense in a bad spot, and then you throw a pick 6. I mean, you are just digging the hole deeper and deeper for your team. And just stop me if you've heard this one. Dak Prescott comes up short in most important moment of the season. That's the Dak Prescott story. He's got good parts of his story. I know that. He was the late round pick, and he's overcome
I don't think you
a lot
know
in
that,
the family.
Though, because you never say nice things about him.
Well, listen, because last year you win that playoff game in Tampa, and everyone's singing your praises. And then the next game, it's a terrible game against San Francisco.
Yes.
And in some ways, it was almost forgivable because San Francisco is just better. They're just a better team. You were the better team today. You should have been. You're the more experienced quarterback. If you're not winning this game in year 8, you're not winning it.
But there's no way he could have outdueled Jordan Love. Jordan Love was going to.
Think of what you just said.
Because Jordan Love was completely unstoppable. But this defense gave the Cowboys no chance. I mean, Dak didn't even get on the field much in the first half at all. They were he barely had a chance to play bad because he did throw those picks. But generally, there were 2 or 3 gigantic drives by the Packers. So the Cowboys, first of all, had all this pressure coming on them because they were trailing, and they just had no time to get any rhythm because their defense was not helping them out at all.
Okay, this is what the first half drives were for the Dallas Cowboys. Punt, interception, punt, interception return for a touchdown, and then you score the touchdown at the very end.
Wait, so how many? That was not a lot of drives you just said. That was 4. 4 drives. I mean, come on. You got it. Their defense has to get you on the field a little more than that.
Okay, and then you come out of halftime, you get the ball, 12-play drive that ends in a field goal. That's basically a victory for the Green Bay Packers. They respond with a touchdown. They weren't messing around yesterday. I think part of this, the Cowboys thought they had this game won. You thought you had it in the bag. And that's coaching, that's quarterback, that's defensive coordinator. I mean, let's spread the blame around to everybody. But to me, you're not winning with Dak, and I don't have a solution for you. I wish I did. I wish I had your Matthew Stafford trade, like the one that you could make, like the Rams did. And I know Stafford and the Rams lost last night to Detroit. We'll talk about that game in a minute, but you need that Stafford trade. Like Dak Prescott is your Goff right now. He's gotten you as far as he can get you. And you need who is going to come in and be the closer here for this team. And
so give me a Stafford.
I don't have one for you.
Okay.
I'll literally give you Matthew Stafford?
No. I'm saying give me a Stafford. So I can't get you Stafford next year, but I can get you Jim Harbaugh, a number 2 wide receiver, and a running back. You're not taking it? You're not going to fight your instincts to be a little excited about this team?
Do not trust. DNT. Do not trust, and do not trust Dak.
Jim Harbaugh would be the new Jimmy Johnson.
But Jim Harbaugh can't go out and take a snap for him in the wild card round. You know, like there's only so much you can do as a coach. If a guy has a penchant for messing up in a big spot, he'll do it with Jason Garrett, he'll do it with Mike McCarthy, and he'll do it with whoever's next.
But to Perloff's point, though, Jim Harbaugh went to San Francisco, and who did he take? He took Alex Smith, a guy who people thought was a head case, a guy people thought nobody could win with. And it seemed like their relationship went beyond just X's and O's. Like, he seemed to really just rebuild Alex Smith's confidence. And Alex Smith was like at the bottom of the barrel when it came to where he was as a quarterback. If you're talking about bringing in Jim Harbaugh and trying to create that same relationship with Dak Prescott, do you not feel like he can have that same impact? I mean, Alex Smith did win a playoff game with Jim Harbaugh.
Well, let's remember also what happened.
I mean, he dumped him as soon as he got a chance.
Exactly.
Well, here's the thing: that Dak is not one in the playoffs. But by that logic,
Smith
Maggie,
lost his job with the injury and never got it back. Yes.
By that logic, you have to dump Josh Allen. You have to dump Tua. You have to dump Lamar Jackson. I mean, yes, it's hard to win a Super Bowl. What if Lamar Jackson loses this year? You're going to use the same logic?
You are this one person who's like, I got to see it, Lamar, in the playoffs. I'm not going to believe it until I see it in the playoffs. And
well, if he wins 2 MVPs and does not get to the Super Bowl, that's problematic.
Here's the thing. I'm also not a year 8 with those guys. I'm not that far away, but I'm not year 8 like I am with Dak Prescott. And he was a starter from word go. So he's had all this time. Like, you know, Josh Allen, listen, we'll see. Josh Allen could say, hold my beer, Dak Prescott, and give you 4 interceptions. I mean, the weather right now in Buffalo looks like it's going to be just disaster today. It's going to be snowing. It's going to be windy. You know, it's not like they're getting a reprieve for just because they're getting the game moved.
I think you're caught up in the moment in this sense. Everything feels bleak now, but I would rather, I'm going to speak as an Eagles fan, I'd rather that you just, I'd rather you go with Bill Belichick next year and Jimmy G next year. Cut Dak, just say cut bait, bring in a veteran, and Belichick. I think that's a 7-win team with these Cowboys.
Well, Jimmy G turns the ball over too much too, and
an 8
hurt.
or 9 win. Like you could bring in Belichick with a new quarterback, you're going to be mediocre. My formula: bring in Harbaugh, really pay up at wide receiver. You need 2 guys there, and I'm sorry, Brandon Cooks did not get it done.
No,
and then you got to help that defensive line against the run. I think that is really scary. I think they'll win the division, be the first NFC East back-to-back winner in whatever, a long time. I think you can work with what you have here. This was not Dak Prescott. This was a whole team looked nervous last night, including Dak Prescott. But I think
he's got the ball in his hands every play.
I think the right coach can bring out more in him in the playoffs.
Yeah, but I thought McCarthy was supposed to do this.
No. Nobody thought McCarthy was an inspire guy. McCarthy was, as you said, you don't bring him. You said earlier you bring in Mike McCarthy to win a Super Bowl. Was anybody saying that when they brought in McCarthy?
Well, but that's what they were saying. It's like they could already win regular season games. That wasn't it. It was, he's got a Super Bowl. He's now rejuvenated after a year off after getting fired by the Packers.
But McCarthy was a terrible disappointment as a playoff coach throughout his career. He won that early one and then lost countless favorite games. Sorry, EJ, you were to say something?
EJ's now on the phone. So, because we want to hear from you, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4CBS, 4227. We should also put out on Twitter sort of some blame candidates. You know, who do you want to blame here? You got Dak, you got Mike McCarthy, you got Dan Quinn.
Don't forget Jerry Jones. I mean, he's a big part of this too.
When they're showing Jerry Jones in the owner's suite, I know this is not his fault. It's just funny to me. In between Jerry and like Steven was like literally just like a buffet chafing dish, whatever they call, like a it looked like a sterling silver platter that you would serve food on.
Yeah.
It's like literally the most gilded thing you could have. It's like, oh no, you're so distressed. And probably what is like some kind of lobster or something.
Well, no. Actually, there's a lot of speculation on Twitter about what that was. And somebody tweeted, everyone's too afraid to touch the baked ziti. Because every time I've been in a stadium box, there's baked ziti there. It's a standard.
It's a thing you can cook for a lot of people.
But you're saying Jerry has lobster in there? That would...
I don't think he's eating the baked ziti. That's for everyone else. 855-212-4227. Rich is in Chicago. Hey, Rich, what's up, dude?
Hey, Meg. Hey, look, I'm with you on the Dak Prescott, McCarthy debacle, and I think anybody that really follows football, and this is not to slam Perloff, but he's had 8 years. He's had 4 years in McCarthy. There's two things going on here, though, that I wanted. The purpose of the call was, I think two things are happening. Cowboys are the Cowboys, the constant faders. That hasn't changed. But what I think isn't getting any credit is the emergence of the NFC North. And that isn't because I live in Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bears have had significant improvement, but you got two playoff teams that have advanced with the Packers and the Lions.
Yep.
You've got the Bears emerging, and you've got the Vikings. If the QB comes back, which is a wild card because he's hurt, but if Cousins comes back, you've got four highly competitive teams. And I would venture to say in 2024, I would put the NFC North, which has been a historical joke, as maybe the best division of them all next year.
Rich, it's interesting.
Good
Thank
point.
you for the call. And Chicago's got a lot of excitement because they're holding on to the number one overall pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think the AFC North is also loaded, and there's a couple other loaded divisions. But I think you could make a really good argument there, the class of the NFC, because the Eagles and the Cowboys seem like they're going down. Then the Niners are the only team in the West, and the NFC South's a joke. So.
I know, but you love the Rams. Didn't you say next year we'll be talking Super Bowl hype for the Rams?
Oh, I do love the Rams. I forgot. But, yeah, the Rams, they don't jump to mind as the dangerous team. I am so into the Rams right now. But the NFC North, he brings up a good point. They're kind of loaded because you bring Kirk Cousins back to the Vikings, and that's a 10-win team. My only hope as an NFC East fan is that the NFC North all beats each other up like the AFC North does.
EJ, what'd you say last night if the Cowboys called the Bears?
Yeah.
What if the Cowboys called the Bears and said, we will give you 3 firsts and Dak Prescott for the number 1 overall pick? Because the Bears are in a situation where they are tired of losing and they probably don't want to rebuild, but Justin Fields they're not sure about. And you'd be getting a lot more draft capital again. You still be getting your king's ransom. But now you have a quarterback that can go out there and compete.
Yeah.
And if you're the Cowboys, you do get your restart, but with a guy who probably has more talent than Dak Prescott and Caleb Williams.
So it's going to be a strong no for me from the Bears side of this. Because do I need Dak Prescott in the cold weather playing outside where he's got, it doesn't play well on the road.
Yeah.
I know Philadelphia.
Well, he's got 2 road games going to be in the Dome every year, Minnesota and Detroit. We kind of overrate some of the outdoor NFC North stuff, to be honest.
I know, but
Chicago does not want to pay Dak Prescott. That's the issue. It's the contract. You would have to, and also, they can get 3 first-round picks and move from 1 to 5. They don't need to move from 1 to 24. So. Right, I think Dak's money makes any kind of trade really hard. And not even just for Caleb Williams. I think if, say, Miami called and said Tua for Dak, I think the contract with Dak is going to terrify a lot of teams.
Okay, let's say we can restructure the contract. Because you're not going to trade him. You're not going to trade him on that $50 million number.
No, this is like the last year of the contract where they've moved all the money and backloaded this thing because it's like $59 million or something. Like, no one thinks Dak's making that money. So, but he's going to make a lot.
Yeah.
And so you've got to give him an extension.
Yeah, let's say the contract comes with the trade comes with the contract extension.
Yeah, which is going to make it cost more.
I think Dak is so down right now that there's no way anybody does that. I think Dallas is stuck with him.
I do too.
I mean,
that's
Caleb
the sad
Williams.
part.
I mean, with Dallas, but do you think Dallas would go for that? Giving up 3 firsts?
Dallas would do that.
100%.
100%. But you're talking about a 20-something pick this year, and I think the Bears would be afraid that Dallas would be too good and the picks would not be valuable.
See, I would be interested if I was the Bears because you are getting a rookie quarterback. So
the rookie quarterback.
I mean, he's nasty, but at the same time, it's a rookie. So
that's the most valuable thing, EJ. You got to win on that rookie contract.
I know, but who's to say the Cowboys don't actually take a step back next year? And the first round pick you're talking about is not going to be top 3, but maybe it is top 10. Maybe the Cowboys win 7 games next year. I don't think that's crazy. If they get a rookie quarterback who we think is great and it ends up not being that great. A lot of people thought Bryce Young was going to be great, and that didn't work out.
But here's the thing: if you're Dak Prescott and you can't win in Dallas, what makes you think you're going to win in Chicago? It's kind of set up for you pretty well. I know we're saying now that we said it all. They were a receiver short, all that. But look at the things you have to overcome in Chicago. They're an up-and-coming team. Yeah. You've got to be the tide that kind of lifts some of that.
But Chicago, again, similar to the Raider conversation, they would take 12 wins a year every day of the week right now. Like this is not the
Expectations are
Cowboy
different.
situation where you're saying it's Super Bowl or bust every year. We know Dak Prescott can win 10 games. Like we've seen that already.
If I'm Chicago and anybody below number 5 in this year's draft calls, there's no way you pick up the phone. You're getting if you're not taking Caleb Williams, you better come away with Marvin Harrison Jr. in this draft. So the Cowboys draft at 24. I don't think the Bears in a million years would pick up that
But can
phone.
you do have a second pick though? Can you use that second pick to move back up into the top 5?
Oh,
See, now I'm doing
24
for the Bears because
some mad GMing here, but it's not like they don't. It's not that this is not their only pick, number 1 pick. They have their own pick as well, which is not that far. What is it? 12?
It's 1 and 9.
9.
Yeah.
Okay?
9.
So use 9 and the assets you get from the Cowboys trade to get back up into the top 5.
Yeah, but you're going to have a lot of people behind you who may also be trying to make that jump. I think it's going to be very expensive this year in the draft to try to move up.
I think the Bears can be very creative here and look at themselves next year and being like, "Wow, we could win this division."
If they're going veteran quarterback, they're going Justin Fields. So
That's true. They got a guy. In the building.
he can run now. Dak looks like he's
But
slower
why
than
would
me.
why would you pick? See, that's the thing though. Like, think about that. Why would you pick Justin Fields over Dak Prescott today?
Because of the contract. I mean, you could have 1 year of Justin Fields. Justin Fields is young, and you don't have to give up anything for. Just keep Justin Fields. Like, you can win 8 games, and I think they're headed on the right direction.
If Dak Prescott, I think he's a top 10 quarterback, right? We could all agree on that. That's not crazy to say.
I think he is. Yeah.
Yes, he is. But
what is Fields? Is he top 20?
Top 15.
I don't think so. The numbers would disagree with you, my friend.
I think Justin Fields is going to take a step next year and be a good quarterback.
Where, in Atlanta?
I think Justin Fields is. I think I'm a little higher on him than you guys.
We'll get to your phone calls at 855-212-4CBS. See, you guys want to weigh in on Super Wildcard Weekend, not just the Cowboys, what we saw out of Kansas City and Miami, what we saw out of the Detroit Lions last night, holding on and hanging on to beat the LA Rams. So awesome. And we've got weather reports for you for today.
Ooh.
I know. Your daddy ears just perked up.
I saw that video.
Weather, traffic, what?
It looked like the frozen tundra. It looked like the Arctic at Buffalo Stadium yesterday. This is going to be fun.
Man, I showed that video to my husband. I'm from Binghamton. He's from Rochester, New York. We're like kind of shrugged. We're like, it's like a regular Wednesday.
Oh, get out of
like
here.
Up there.
Get out of here.
No, it was dangerous. 855-212.
Maggie wants to move to Fort Lauderdale. It's like, oh, yeah, no, I'm not scared of the snow.
Yeah, I got PTSD from my childhood. 855-212-4CBS. See you guys. Hang tight. We're back in just moments on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back on Maggie and Perloff. It is game day. We got our game face on. My Eagles, Maggie's Bills. Normally, this would be a day to celebrate the Cowboys' loss in Philadelphia, but nobody's doing that.
No time for that.
Nobody's doing that because everyone's trying to fire Nick Sirianni, and now it looks like there's at least two teams who are going to be competing for Bill Belichick. The Cowboys, maybe the Eagles, maybe your Bills if they lose. It should be a lot of fun.
Lot to be determined. Here's what we have so far. We'll get to the phones. You're going to have the Texans either at the Ravens or the Chiefs. That's going to be next Saturday. Packers at 49ers. That's locked in Saturday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. Sunday, it's either going to be Perloff's Eagles or the Bucks at the Lions at 3 o'clock Eastern. And then it'll be the Chiefs at the Bills or the Steelers at the Ravens, 6:30 Eastern time.
Oh, let's go.
A lot more to be determined. Gary is in Jacksonville. He's up next here on CBS Sports Radio. Wants to talk about the Dolphins' loss on Saturday night. Hey, Gary, what's up?
I do, guys. Good morning. First of all, I'd like to say you were talking about McCarthy. I don't think they should go for any retread, Belichick or Parcells. I think Ben Johnson, the OC of the Lions, would be a great jolt for that Cowboy offense. Get Dak on the right path the way Mike McDaniel did with my Dolphins. And still very proud of my Dolphins, guys. They proved under McDaniel they're relevant. They won 11 games. They're picking guys off the street, for God's sakes, to play defense. Losing Phillips, Chubb, Baker. They lost, Elliott Howard in the secondary. And their offensive line guys, only the Jets had more offensive line combinations played during the year than the Miami Dolphins. I think Butch Barry did a great job to keep that unit together to where they're at least competitive during the season.
Okay, Gary, you want to pay Tua $150 million?
I believe in Tua. I think he can run that offense. I like Tua. As I said, look what he did with all the offensive line combinations. What did he throw for? 4,700 yards, 29 touchdowns.
Led the league.
That's not bad, Maggie.
No.
When you consider they had a revolving door on the offensive line.
Listen, Gary, I I think that you probably have the right and the healthy attitude here. And thank you so much for the call, because it's something we talked about heading into this game. The injuries decimated the Miami Dolphins. They limped into the playoffs and then drew the short straw by virtue of losing to the Bills, that they had to go to Kansas City for an all-time cold weather game.
So let me ask you this. If I could tell you Tua is going to be healthy for 4 years, would you be comfortable signing him for $200 million?
You know, I'm going to have to do it because I'm here.
Yeah.
But the problem is with Tua is, and again, this was an all-time cold weather game, but there are games you're going to walk into if it's cold weather where he plays in the AFC East, and you're going to think, we don't have a shot to win this game before you even walk in the stadium. That's a problem.
Yeah, but they could get home field. I think Tua is a great quarterback. We talked earlier before the show about what if you put Geno Smith in that spot.
Right.
To me, Tua is a better fit. He's kind of the ultimate NBA point guard.
He was underthrowing guys, though, in Kansas City. He couldn't get the ball
Kansas
to
City
them.
was ridiculous. That was, and also, I think Mike McCarthy's brain got cold, too. Because why was he... Mike McDaniel. Why was he throwing to Cedric Wilson in every key down? And their run game was so bad. That's the thing about Mike McDaniel's offense. Is the run game is unstoppable, and it was completely stoppable in the cold weather.
Yeah, it's hard because you kind of want to throw that game out. But on the flip side, if you're Kansas City, I think now all of a sudden you got a little bit of confidence. Not that you're lacking for it if you're the Chiefs, but
one thing back on the Dolphins. I mean, how many injuries did they have? We saw Jalen Phillips.
Gary just went through the whole list.
Yeah, I mean, there's no team can survive that on defense. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, even for Vic Fangio, the vaunted Fangio. But my one concern is about Tua playing in cold weather. This was bad. And granted, it's negative 30. Like, it's terrible for both sides. It was terrible. George is in L.A. He's our Rams fan. George, I was thinking about you last night when they fell short. How you feeling?
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, you can't kick 3 field goals in the red zone, let them have 3 touchdowns. Defense did finally wake up in the second half. But the NFL needs to initiate some kind of rule at crucial points of the game.
Yep.
Puka was obviously held. They even said the announcers at the end of that game at 3rd and 15. But the thing is, another thing I was going to comment real quick, 31 of Detroit, he's a pretty dirty player, man. That hit on Higbee, he could ruin his career. And then pulled that other kid off the pile. But the Rams, I'm proud of them. I'm proud of Stafford. I mean, he was messed up. You see that cut on his hand?
Brutal. Not that. I mean, he got a cut on his hand. At one point, I thought maybe his shoulder got dislocated or the ribs got hurt. He may have gotten a concussion last night, which they kind of yada-yada'd over a little when he's basically back with his, on the ground, looking up at the lights with his arms kind of up. It wasn't the full fencer's position that we saw Tua take last year, Perloff, in that scary moment, but it was pretty close.
Yeah, it was bad. I was shocked he put his helmet back on and got back out there and was effective. A lot of credit to Stafford last night. But here's the thing about the Lions. I give the Lions credit because the officials were terrified last night. I don't know how loud it was in Detroit, but they were obviously scared to throw their flags because there was a helmet-to-helmet hit on Nakua. The next play, there was 3 fouls on one play against Stafford, and they didn't throw the flag. I don't know. And at the end, Nakua got completely mugged. So I think the officials, either by demand of the NFL, were not going to throw flags. But the Lions... Yeah, they came out there at the end. They were just like, I'm going to manhandle these Rams receivers. The officials are terrified to throw a flag.
I don't know if you remember in the first half, the officials missed an egregious, what they called a false start.
Yeah.
Which should have been an offside. It would have gave them a first down. The Lions might have scored at the end of the first half, and the crowd went crazy.
Yeah.
I think at that point, that changed how the referee was going to go for the rest of that game.
They tried to do a makeup call literally on the next play when they called a special teams penalty and backed up the Rams to the 10.
Because that play, that was terrible. They definitely should have called the offsides, but it seemed like the game changed after that.
I'll tell you, it's so funny you say that. Last year when I went to the Eagles-Niners game at the Link, there was a bad call against the Eagles on the 4th play. I could see the fear from all the way up in the stands, the fear in the officials' faces, because from that time on, the Eagles did whatever they want. They were low hitting, high hitting, and the officials were just like, it's good. We're not going to take on this crowd.
George, thank you so much, and sorry your season comes to an end, but man, Stafford, you're right. He hurts his hand and then starts throwing dimes all over the place. And Nakua did get mugged. That was on a 3rd and 14. It should have given them a first down. You would have had... Let's see, about 4.5 minutes left in that game.
I'm happy for the Lions, but I was rooting for the Rams for my Matthew Stafford Hall of Fame case. But I don't even care. Stafford is a Hall of Famer. You saw last night that when he dipped down into that little sidearm throw post concussion. How many quarterbacks can do that?
We laugh about it, but I mean that was he took a lot of hits last night.
Yeah, that was one of the best games I've actually seen him play. His numbers were incredible, and I don't think it was easy for him because the Rams were, EJ said earlier, they were spraying the receivers out, and there was no protection, and Stafford was just sitting in there and delivering dimes at the last second.
How about the fans booing Stafford like none other when he came out? And you know what? That's the correct response.
Bravo.
It's a playoff game. You have plenty of time for tributes and all that other stuff another time. No one can erase the years he had in Detroit. He's coming in as the enemy quarterback on the other side. You got to boo him. Andrew Bogusch is here with headlines, and you're looking at me like you're disappointed in what I just said.
No. I was actually looking at something on the TV that looked odd to me, that's all.
Sure.
Nothing to do with you. Wasn't even listening.
Yeah.
They had won 16 straight home games. Their largest home deficit this season was just 8 points, and then it was 27-0 Packers yesterday afternoon in Dallas. It ended 48-32, meaning the Cowboys lose their initial playoff game for the second time in 3 years under Mike McCarthy. And Jerry Jones ain't happy.
This is shame.
Jerry adding last night that it was not time to think about his head coach or any player decisions, but those Belichick rumors will be strong this week, all while the Packers prep for another playoff game, this time in San Francisco Saturday night. Matt LaFleur's team will be the underdogs again.
I think there's a little bit of freedom with that in terms of how you go out and play. And, these guys, they went for it. And that's exciting to see. Every phase, I thought you could see it in the way we played.
Aaron Jones ran for 3 scores. Jordan Love threw for 3, and Darnell Savage had a 64-yard pick 6. The Rams and Lions then gave us our first drama of Wild Card Weekend, a 24-23 Lions win in Detroit. So it's Jared Goff ousting his former team, not Matthew Stafford, returning to Detroit and continuing the Lions' playoff misery. He threw for 367 and 2 scores, but the offense bogged down twice in the red zone in the second half, settling for short field goals. They also punted from the Detroit 44 with just over 4 minutes to go and never got the ball back.
In a game like this, against an offense like that's playing at that clip, you're going to need to score touchdowns when you get down there. I thought our defense did a great job in the second half holding them down, but we just didn't make enough plays in the red zone.
The Lions hadn't won a playoff game since 92. Their 9-game postseason losing streak was the longest ever. Now they get a second home game hosting the Eagles or the Bucs Sunday afternoon. That game in Tampa is your nightcap. The Steelers and Bills kicking off at 4:30 Eastern. But as Maggie's mentioned already this morning, more snow, more wind, more cold today in Buffalo. NFL Network says Jim Harbaugh is in L.A. today to meet with the Chargers about their vacancy. Meanwhile, fresh off that natty, Michigan QB J.J. McCarthy is definitely leaving for the NFL draft, as is running back Blake Corum. Draft heads a little conflicted on McCarthy since the Wolverines didn't ask him to throw that much, but he's probably a first-round pick.
Maybe a second-round pick. I saw J.J. McCarthy's going pro, Blake Corum's going pro, and I said to myself, maybe Harbaugh's not coming back.
You think? And he's in L.A. today?
Yeah, and he's in L.A. I'm connecting some dots here, Maggie, and I think Jim Harbaugh's stay in Michigan might be over.
Thanks, Sherlock Holmes. Got any more mysteries you can
Connor
bust?
Stallings over there.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's called deductive reasoning. J.J. McCarthy gone, no quarterback there. It seems like the right time.
Yeah, the NCAA breathing down your neck.
Yeah, you're not even really going to be able to coach next year, probably.
Or you have 4 teams who are lining up to hand you $100 million. This is a tough choice.
You've already won a title, nothing left to play for. Yeah. I think Harbaugh could be had for the right contract. I mean, I'm not going to go Ian Rappaport on you guys, but
you never
trust
know
me.
with these Michigan men.
That smoke might be real.
There might be something to do that.
Washington's replacing Kalen DeBoer with Arizona's Jed Fish. Those Wildcats just won their final 7 games to finish 10-3. The Huskies passing on promoting offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb. He's now expected to join DeBoer in Tuscaloosa. Draymond Green's expected to rejoin the Warriors today in Memphis. Golden State went 8-8, while Draymond served his indefinite suspension. On the court last night, Damian Lillard hit a 3 at the buzzer to stun the Kings, 143-142 in OT in Milwaukee. And the Clippers came up short in Minnesota, 109-105. Paul George, James Harden combining for just 30 points, 9 for 33 shooting. And women's college hoops, second-ranked UCLA took its first loss, 73-65 from ninth-ranked USC. That leaves South Carolina as the nation's lone unbeaten team. Juju Watkins scored 32 for the Trojans.
Tell you what, we talk about Caitlin Clark, Juju Watkins also, phenom.
Really? Haven't watched yet.
Oh, she's amazing. She's a freshman.
Yeah, that's 6 30-point games already this year.
Yeah.
Can I tell you who I want to be reincarnated as?
Yeah.
Just once in my life, I want a moment as cool as Damian Lillard hitting a 40-foot game winner, turning around and pointing to my wrist where the watch is for Dame time. Have I ever done anything 1/100th as cool as that?
I don't know how guys, and I know that obviously Dame's hit so many game winners, and I guess you get used to it. How do guys not celebrate? How do you
act like you've been there before?
I know, but how do you suppress the urge to just be like,
The funny thing about Dame, too, is that I feel like as much as his point to the watch thing is awesome when he hits these game winners, I still think his best celebration was when he waved goodbye to the Thunder as he eliminated them from the playoffs. That really should be his Dame time celebration.
There's nothing
well,
cooler.
other guys have done that.
No, but nobody forgets him waving Russell Westbrook and Paul George see you in Cancun.
No. After you let the ball out of your hand, turning around Larry Bird style is the coldest thing you can do.
Not even
just
watching
act
it go in.
Yeah, act like this is no big deal. Of course I beat you. The 2 or 3 times in my life I've hit the game winner in a pickup game, I just sort of walk off and no big deal. That's what I do.
Do you understand? I would just I would break out into the Cabbage Patch or something. I don't think I'd be able to help it. I'd all of a sudden just do a split or I don't know. I'd do a dance move I'm not even sure I can do. Break out into the worm. Something.
Yeah. No, I would
not be cool.
You know, I'm a Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson guy. Just hand the ball to the official because it's no big deal to me because I am the baddest dude in the history of the planet.
Coming from your
I'm the king of PS 113's court in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Playing against a dentist and a
I
real
still
estate
remember
agent.
that.
That's right.
That one 3-pointer I hit in 2017. I just walked to the bench and didn't even look at anyone. I was like, yeah, that's Perloff
Oh my
from
God.
3.
I beat my older brother once in tennis and I celebrated like I was Roger Federer. It's the center court at Wimbledon. It was just on my back.
Did you climb the fence to your parents and give hugs?
Also his parents.
Yeah,
so
right.
it's a little weird.
I'm also not a trash talker. Is anyone here a trash talker on the court? I can't. Maybe EJ, do you talk a little trash?
No, I'm not a trash talker.
Yeah, but I am susceptible to
I'm
trash
chatty
talk.
though.
I remember in high school, I was at the free throw line, like a rare opportunity at free throw line, and the star on the other team said, "Oh, you're totally gonna miss this," and I was like, "You are absolutely right about me. I'm an inferior basketball player." And
Did you miss it or make it?
I barely got rim.
Oh my gosh!
I am so susceptible. If someone wants to tell me I'm bad at something, I believe them.
Yeah.
You guys are better.
No, it must be nice to be on the court to hit a shot or to be trash talked. I was on the bench listening to the cool kids play.
Trash talking for the bench.
Yeah.
You can't really trash talk in tennis. Well, you can. We'd get
Tennis is a
chippy.
mental.
We'd get chippy with each other.
That's
girls.
a mental game, though.
Totally mental. You warm up with your opponent. It's so weird. That part is weird. And in high school, now we're reliving glory days, poke high. But you call your own in and out.
Yes.
From the line.
You can have a good argument about that, right?
Screaming.
Well,
Just
also-
screaming at girls.
Also, once your confidence goes in tennis, you're in big trouble.
No, it's like Royal Tenenbaums, where all of a sudden you're out there with one shoe on. It's bad. It devolves really. That tennis and golf, it's like the only time when you're out there, you're basically naked, and all you're just hitting drives off the pavilion. Like you don't know what's going on. Finding water, sand.
Yeah.
Tennis and golf are the same. Like
and Dak Prescott in football too.
and Dak Prescott can't hit the ocean from the
I will
beach.
say, playing high school basketball in New York City, you get very colorful trash talk from opponents.
I don't know how you handle that, EJ. I would not have been mentally tough enough to play in the city.
Was not easy. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I feel like there's no rules when it comes to that.
No.
And the refs are probably just like, ooh.
Oh, the refs are in on it.
Bogish, thank you so much. Got some more phone calls for you. We've got more sound. Just really the devastation now that the Cowboy fans are left with here in their laps. I mean, what do you do with this just burning dumpster fire? Maggie and Perloff, we got some options next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Break ends in 5 seconds.
people pointing the fingers, one thing or another. You get your rear end in there and you play the way you know how to play. We can win the game. We're going to open it up. We're going to go fast tempo. Defense, get after Jordan Love. You can't give him that much time. You do what you're supposed to do, we'll win this game.
All right. That got Michael fired. He's got everybody fired up.
Mike, no!
Could have used Jimmy Johnson in the locker room at halftime. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. That was Jimmy Johnson on Fox. I mean, it was a little ridiculous how soft you had the Dallas defense was playing off of the Packers receivers, and they got torched.
Tentative, nervous. Both sides of the ball had the same level of panic. It's got to be the coach. I think our only disagreement is you say it's coach and the quarterback.
How about coaches? McCarthy and Quinn.
And Quinn, I'd blame Kellen Moore, but he's not there.
Someone somewhere will blame Kellen Moore. Kevin is in San Antonio. Had a thought about this. Hey, Kevin, good morning.
Hey, good morning. I just started listening to your show, and Maggie, y'all got a good show in the morning. So I'm going to wake up, leave my iHeartRadio on, and listen to y'all. Y'all got a good show.
Fantastic. Thanks for finding us. We appreciate that, Kevin. What's on your mind, pal?
On my mind is that this is a broken record. 29 years. I'm not a Cowboy fan. I'm a Houston Texans fan, and so forth. I really don't understand. Every time the Cowboys get a coach, Jerry Jones isn't involved. He need to get out. He need to sit down and just let the coach coach. The only time they did that was Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson had full control, and he's the one that made the dynasty. He traded Herschel Walker and got a lot of picks.
Yeah.
And guess what? They won 3 Super Bowls out of that.
You know, Kevin, I think a lot of people, and again, thank you for the kind words and appreciate you joining the show. A lot of people will lay this at the feet of Jerry Jones and will say they'll never win while Jerry's in charge.
He's absolutely right. The format of an interventionist owner like Jerry Jones is the problem. That's why it's been 29 years since they've done anything. It's 100% the problem.
And this is why I will tell you, I don't think Jerry Jones really actually wants to win.
No, I think his ego's so big that he thinks he can do it.
See, I think he's got everything that he wants right now. He's got the Hall of Fame. He's got an interesting team. He's a powerful owner, all of that stuff.
He walks into that meeting, that owners meeting, without a ring every year. It kills him to see these other owners who he thinks he's superior to who actually win something.
It's losing.
Here's the thing about Jerry. He tried to bury the hatchet and did bury the hatchet with Jimmy. Had the ceremony, put him in the Ring of Honor, thought you were kind of breaking a curse, if you will, of the two of those guys not being able to get along and maybe, destroying what was already a dynasty, but maybe could have been even longer. Maybe you're Brady and Belichick. Maybe you're 20 years and maybe you have this whole super sustained success, and we're talking about you are the definitive team of a whole generation.
Absolutely. That was going to happen.
And instead it was egos got in the way. Okay, but they buried the hatchet and they just lost worse than they lost the last 2 years. This might have been the worst loss ever.
You're saying that there was a curse out there that the thinking was, if we let Jimmy in, that'll break the curse?
Yeah. Am I breaking that news to you? Definitely. Yes.
No. It wasn't some metaphysical curse out there. The problem is Jerry has built this team, so he is the general manager, and he's created this format where it's just all screwed up, where the coach doesn't have the right amount of influence. Just something acknowledging the past doesn't do anything. This is not like a totem or something.
Perloff, you're somebody who can't listen to the game with sound. You're superstitious. I think a lot of people thought this was because Jimmy got run out of town.
Yeah.
Until you make things right with Jimmy Johnson, this team's going to be cursed. And it turns out this may have been the worst playoff loss of the Jerry Jones era. It backfired on him. I don't know.
You're saying it's the same as me having to stand behind the refrigerator to watch an entire quarter of an Eagles game? This is
something like
actually,
that.
I get where you're going.
I thought you would be able to identify with something.
No,
like
I mean, this is a real. You look at it without knowing the details. When the owner acts a certain way and does not let the coach do his thing, it's usually problematic. And it seems like that is the main problem in Dallas. You get a lot of, they've made some good draft picks, ironically. But for whatever reason, the coach is not empowered to win a Super Bowl there.
And I always said, if we could give Jerry Jones, if we could lay this choice at his feet and say, you can either win a Super Bowl or you can never talk to the press again. And if you win the Super Bowl, you can't even be up on the podium to accept the Lombardi trophy. You have to let everyone else take the credit except you. What do you think he would pick?
Super Bowl, because he would secretely take the credit.
Nope.
He'd drive around on his bus and tell everyone, look at this ring here.
855-212-4227. See you guys on the phones. We'll get to you. You want to weigh in on the Cowboys? Come on, let's do it. 855-212-4227.
.1 minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She can run the 40 faster than Tom Brady. He got a perfect score on the Wonderlic. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Here's the snap. Jordan Love looks downfield, throws off the back foot to the end zone. Over-the-shoulder catch. Touchdown. Tavian Wicks on the post, and the Packers lead it 20-0.
Thought you couldn't win with these young receivers. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I kid, of course. A lot of people really having to swallow their pride watching the Packers demolish the Dallas Cowboys,
Yeah.
Perloff. I mean, Jerry Jones, one of them, that was a humbling loss. Could cost Mike McCarthy his job. If they had a better option at quarterback, I think it would cost Dak Prescott his job.
But you could put in Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. I mean, the same result is going to happen in Dallas no matter who's quarterback. This is a Jerry issue. And it was not a quarterback issue last night because name a player on that Cowboy, except for Micah Parsons, who actually showed up last night.
Nobody showed up, but you have to ask yourself, year 8, Dak Prescott favored at home by a touchdown. You cannot look this bad in that game. Couldn't find a receiver. They couldn't get open. He started making bad decisions. It was just a total free fall.
I don't know. I wonder if that first interception was on the receiver. The second one, okay, how does your head coach let CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, two veterans, get on different pages in a moment this big? Like, I blame McCarthy for that. I think they were tight. I think the pressure got to them. I think Green Bay brilliantly decided to get the ball. And after that first drive, panic set in with Dallas. I think they realized, oh my God, we're going to have to score every play here because we can't stop Aaron Jones. So I think panic set in. And the one thing about it, Jordan Love, if you put number 10 on him, he'd be Aaron Rodgers. It is uncanny how similar they play football. His throws off his back foot in like that highlight, that's an Aaron Rodgers throw. Can we talk about the fact that the Cowboys basically lost to the new Aaron Rodgers and the Packers drafted the same guy? It is unbelievable how good he got. You said it's funny. He proved you could win with these young receivers. His play has taken off so much. It's unbelievable.
Well, I think it's funny, too, because you keep a lot of the same calls. So he's out there going, Green 18, the same stuff that we heard Rodgers do forever at Green Bay, and he's doing it. You're right. He does a sidearm off the back foot.
He can do that out to the sideline, just like Aaron, and he runs exactly like Aaron Rodgers, too. He never takes off down the field. He's running to pass.
Listen, we can throw all the roses at Jordan Love's feet, and he deserves a lot. It was Aaron Jones who led the way and was the tone setter. And listen, it's good for Jordan Love. Listen, congrats, Packer fans. It looks like you're set. But Aaron Jones was so good on those first two drives. He was good early. He was good late. And when the Cowboys, when the Packers win the coin toss and they take the ball, it was actually multiple second and longs. And first it was a Cowboys penalty that ended up bailing out the Packers, and then it was a Jordan Love throw. I mean, I don't think it would have mattered if the Packers got the ball first or not. They had an answer at every turn, and the Cowboys did not. And the Cowboys they were not tougher. The Green Bay defense was more physical, especially on the receivers. Dak's second-guessing himself at all times. And again, if you want to come in and we can change coaches and we can do this carousel and musical chairs, It's not going to change as long as Dak is coming up small in the biggest moments. Probably.
Yeah, I disagree a little bit on that sense that when they fell out 7-0, they can't do the two things that they want to do. They cannot rush the passer because Green Bay had the run-pass option the whole time.
Yep.
So Micah Parsons could never just go all out after the quarterback. The second thing, Dallas had no chance to establish a run game. And they were having trouble with that a lot of the season. So I think the Cowboys, to win in the playoffs, I think they really, really need a strong run game. They need to be like Jimmy Johnson's Cowboys, which was Emmitt Smith and a great defense. It wasn't Troy Aikman.
Okay, you might not. Well, you do. You have Hall of Famers on this offensive line. Like, you had health. You had all. You had your team that you had in training camp. You had on the field last night. How many teams are lucky enough to be able to say something like that? No excuses now for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not going to say, oh, it was this, that is the other. It's everything. And you're not going to win here with Dak. And that's sad if you're a Cowboy fan because you don't have a good option. Your Matthew Stafford trade, I don't know who that is. Like,
maybe Dak's Matthew Stafford. Does that make sense?
He would have won, wouldn't he?
No, Stafford didn't win for a decade too.
I don't.
No, he may be Matt Stafford, but maybe he's Matt Stafford in Detroit.
Yeah, if Matt Stafford never leaves Detroit.
Maybe
but if maybe Sean McVay comes to Detroit, if Sean McVay went to Detroit, maybe it's a coach. Maybe a coach can untap this thing. At least get them to relax a little bit in the playoffs. I mean, a guy like Jim Harbaugh is such a cult of personality. I think there's no way they come out with a D effort in the playoffs with a Harbaugh or a Belichick. At least they have a B effort.
Wait, I love this. I get that. I think that Harbaugh or Belichick, they would have been better in this game probably. But, like, there's nothing about Jim Harbaugh to me that says relaxed. This dude is, like, one of the most intense people.
Totally. But his intensity makes the play. For some reason, the players respond to Jim Harbaugh. They love that dude. Michigan was pretty loose in that title game.
But they were not loose in the Rose Bowl. They came out looking scared as get. The Dallas Cowboys did.
And
darn
honestly,
it, you're right. They were panicky in that Rose Bowl.
And honestly, basically until Urban Meyer left, they couldn't win a game at Ohio State. So,
but they were never even good in those years. They weren't beating. They never came in undefeated until Harbaugh. Yeah, I just think that it's got to be better than McCarthy. McCarthy. You said that they brought him in to win a Super Bowl. I didn't see that because McCarthy is not known as a big game coach either.
Well, then what do they bring him in for? To dress in Jerry's pajamas and have a sleepover?
Yeah, I mean, he watched film of every team, he said. He watched every snap of the 2018 season and turned out that was a total lie. But I don't know. When they hired Mike McCarthy, no one's like, oh, okay, now they got to figure it out.
You know what's funny is that you could tell that lie that McCarthy, they all kind of laughed off, that he said he watched every snap, right, of the season that he was out of football. But if you lie about where, like, finishing college or not finishing college on a resume, you actually do get fired if you're a coach. Or like whatever George O'Leary lied about.
Well, yeah, I think that if you put something on your resume, he didn't put it in print. Here's the thing, too. One thing we're talking about coaches.
Word is not bond, by the way.
What's that?
Word is not bond, according to Perloff.
Yeah. You say a lot of things in interviews. What's your biggest weakness? Oh, I'm too hard a worker. Whatever people say in interviews. Put it on your resume. That's a different story. Here's the thing. No one thought Matt LaFleur was going to be a big game coach either. I'm telling you, these things evolve over the years. I mean, all of a sudden, he's a good coach. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. But
no,
maybe.
I'm not putting it specifically on you, Maggie.
Well, he had a couple bad home losses. And when you lose and you're the favorite and you lose at home, and I know it was like a COVID year, so you didn't have fans in the stands for the Packers that the year they were the number one seed and lost to Tom Brady, but lost again to the 49ers. Yep. That's when people start, wondering about you. In the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio or twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. DT says, pick sixes are the most demoralizing plays in football, akin to catching your wife with a mailman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think people are still sleeping with the mailman. I'm going to be honest. I think that's a dated reference.
Mailman is a dated reference.
Yeah. Mail carrier.
Yeah.
First of all.
Yeah,
Lots of women out there.
The joke
doing
is,
that
that kid looks like the mailman. Yeah, you're right.
No, I think the UPS FedEx is the higher caliber.
Yeah, FedEx, pool guy.
You want to know why? I think that the mail carrier's way too busy. Not that the FedEx and the UPS people aren't, but it's like, who really has time to have an affair?
The mail carriers I ever encounter, they always look like they have begun a day that's going to last 20 hours.
Exactly.
Like, they look exhausted, even though the day's just begun. Like, They definitely don't have time to fool around.
I know the Amazon delivery people and the UPS and FedEx, they're like spry. They're like
they're just
jumping up and
chilling.
down, like throwing the packages back in the truck. Maybe there's a hop in their step because
Can I-
they're
can
waiting
I-
for Mrs. Smith down the street.
Can I tell you a totally bougie dilemma I have? This happens, and you know this because you lived in New York City, and maybe EJ too. I live in an apartment building,
Yeah.
and there's no doorman.
Yeah, packages get stolen constantly.
But if I'm walking out and there's a UPS guy, do I just let him in to go deliver the package, or do you make him buzz up to the people?
This is a great dilemma.
It's impossible.
Wait, while we chew on that, let's go to our pal Big Dave is in Kentucky. Dave, I was thinking about you last night, and you said you were going to be done with this team if they disappointed you in the postseason. They get blown out by the Packers yesterday. Are you really going to turn in your Cowboy fan card?
Is it an oxymoron to boast about your own team getting beat?
No, I do that all the time.
You did call it.
No, Dave, you have every right. You called it exactly.
Yep. The discussion about who the opponent, they're not going to lose to this team. They're not going to lose to that team. With the Cowboys, it doesn't matter. I mean, because it's a cultural issue. Yeah. It's a systematic problem. Been listening to you guys all morning. I think you're both right on most everything. McLevin, I disagree with you on Dak. With the exception of, I'll put it to you this way, it's the Dak that we've seen. There's no way you're going to win a championship with him. But if you look, I mean, you go back, like with McCarthy, why is Mike McCarthy the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? Because he's a yes man.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the Clapper, who was there for, Jason Garrett was there for ever how long. If you go all the way back post Jimmy Johnson, the only head coach that has not fit that category was Bill Parcells.
Yep.
And there's a lot of rumors that there was all kinds of of issues with them. And Jerry Jones Steven had to jerk the draft card, Johnny Manziel's draft card, out of Jerry Jones's hand to keep him from drafting Johnny Manziel. I mean, I don't know where to start, really. Yeah. Hey, McLevin, if you want Dan Quinn, we'll gift wrap it, man.
Oh, I do. I do want Dan Quinn. You telling me it's such an upgrade from Matt Patricia in Philadelphia, though. They're talking about Dan Quinn as a defense coordinator for the Eagles. He's got to be better. Is he really? He's still got 4 head coaching interviews, Dave.
Good. Great. Do you really believe that after last night? You really think that Dan Quinn is a viable option, that one of these teams is going to hire Dan Quinn as their head coach after seeing that debacle last night? Not just last night. I mean, I go back to the Bills game when they ran for 174 yards.
Well, here's the thing, Dave. What never really made sense to me, and I probably should have articulated it better, was Dan Quinn going to Seattle when he keeps losing to the 49ers. Why would you invite that? So we're in the division, and this is somebody who cannot figure out how to beat the 49ers.
He has kept that offense in check in some games.
Okay, but again.
I mean, listen.
But anyway,
Dave, Matt Patricia, though. Would you rather Matt Patricia or Dan Quinn? Because you're going to get Patricia next year, probably, if they hire Belichick.
Yeah.
Neither. But long story short, this is a cultural issue. Mags, I understand what you're saying about Jerry not caring about winning. I just don't see how. The problem is you've got a billionaire who has been highly successful at practically everything probably he's ever touched in his life has turned to gold. He's got a football background. He played and all that, and he thinks he's the smartest guy in the stadium. And it's just, this is the only way this changes. If everybody's talking about, and I hope Harbaugh's the pick. And you asked Maggie, am I really turning my card in? If they don't do something drastic, probably if it's not Jim Harbaugh or Belichick, I'm done.
Here's the thing, Dave. Jim Harbaugh is not a yes man. He's the opposite.
No,
that's why it's good.
No, but what makes you think he'll be the hire?
My whole point is if they hire one of those, then to me that's a quasi signal that Jerry has conceded, that somebody's finally put duct tape over his mouth and stuck him in a closet or something.
Throw him in a
That's
trunk
the only
somewhere.
way that one of those two guys are coming in. Anyone else than that, I'm done. I'm not.
Hey,
joking,
what about Vrabel? Mike Vrabel, former Titans coach.
He would be my third. He would probably be my third choice.
Those 3 are
Who's
good.
coaching your offense? Because I'll tell you what, it didn't look great in Tennessee.
Still, Vrabel would be an upgrade there.
Listen, Vrabel, fine, but I don't know. Dave, thank you so much for the call, and sorry about that last night.
I think Jerry's going to concede, as Dave said. I think this is a year he's giving up on the old formula. I think he brings in a non-yes man.
You think now all of a sudden
Yes.
at what, 7? How old is he?
80
something?
Yes.
Like now all of a sudden he's going to be like, you know what? Let's do it a different way.
Yes. I mean, he did. Dave brought up a good point. They did draft Zach Martin over Johnny Manziel. They did change.
That was a
little
decade
bit.
ago.
I'm just saying it actually was a decade ago, man. Time flies. But yes, I
We've
think
already had a Johnny Manziel documentary.
he's
since
ready
then.
to give up, Maggie. He understands that what's happening now is not working. He's got to. If he doesn't understand this, you're right. He never will.
I would say this. I don't know how much this matters or this means because it's all about what happens in the building, I think. But I'd say this to Jerry if I were anyone around him who had a spine. You've been doing it one way for this long. How about next year, no interviews? Why don't you take a media diet here or like a blackout or whatever you want to call it? And you've been doing it one way for a long time. Let's just try it one way for 1 year. See if anything changes. Leland is in Sacramento. Hey, Leland, how are you?
Hey, good morning, Maggie. Good morning, Perloff.
What's up?
Just a couple comments. You guys have a lot of really good points regarding yesterday's Cowboys game, and especially the previous caller calling it a culture issue. And I agree with that. I think, the big three need to go. Well, four. McCarthy, Quinn, Schottenheimer, and Prescott. All four need to go. Mm-hmm. But and a lot of people have articulated this. The biggest problem is Jerry Jones and his hands-on approach. I think he's just too old. Pete Carroll, he had to go because his just 1960 ways of running an offense didn't work. The same kind of argument, what worked for this organization isn't working anymore. The Cowboys need a legit GM, and they need to burn the house down and get in a new coaching staff. And that's my comment.
Leland, thank you for the phone call. I think your roster's too far along to do a burn the house down. But I get what he's saying. He's saying get rid of McCarthy and Quinn and Brian Schottenheimer and Dak Prescott, and that would qualify as cleaning house. But your roster is close, and that's why I feel for Cowboy fans, because it's close, but you're not a winner. And I don't see how you move on from Prescott because I don't see an obvious upgrade that you have who's going to come in and make this team better. Okay.
Again, I think Eagles fans would be thrilled if they fired Mike McCarthy, brought in Bill Belichick, cut Dak Prescott, and brought in Jimmy G. I think
Jimmy G's not the answer.
Well, I mean,
so hurt.
Okay,
give
me any other answer besides Dak.
That's what I'm saying.
And if Belichick comes in, then Jimmy G's got to be on the table. Didn't he like him? I can't remember where
he
Josh
drafted him.
Yeah, I got to assume that Josh McDaniels is coming with you to Dallas.
I would too.
Or maybe Bill O'Brien. Regardless, I mean, there is a possibility that you're going to take a big hit to this offense with Bill Belichick as a head coach. That's just the way it's going to work. It might not be a bad thing, but they're not scaring me with Bill Belichick.
The reason why you bring in Belichick is because you don't think you would no-show a playoff game with Bill Belichick, and he's got a 31-13 record in the postseason. It's almost immaculate.
Yeah, what is it without Tom Brady?
Well, let's just call it what it is. The defense won a lot of those Super Bowls.
Yeah.
So
and special teams, which is all of a sudden got bad under Bill Belichick. But
okay, well, you already got that. You already got that figured out. You got
there is something powerful in that Dallas Cowboys, Billy. I'm just not sure Bill Belichick won't have the same fate as all the other ill-fated Cowboys coaches.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You are welcome to get in on the Dallas Cowboys pity party. We would love to hear from you. We also have some winners to talk about from this weekend, including the big star to emerge from Super Wild Card Weekend. And don't forget, we've got 2 games today. 855-212-4CBS. Don't move. More Maggie and Perloff straight ahead.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Oh, man, what a weekend of football. Started off with 3 blowouts. So finally the Rams and the Lions gave us a good game. But I got to tell you, I did not see the result on Saturday coming at all. Starting with the Browns-Texans. I thought that C.J. Stroud was good, but when is a rookie quarterback dominated a playoff game like that? My God, is he poised for a first-year player.
It was one of the times where I used to kind of poo-poo when people would say, oh, well, he doesn't have any big NFL experience, but he's got a lot of big experience playing in big games in college. And I used to be like, come on, like, yeah, it's college, it's not the NFL. Watching C.J. Stroud, I'm like, damn, he was in a lot of big games in college. Maybe this is the moment has not become too big for him. Maybe because he did get to taste that on the college level.
That's ridiculous because how many guys have had huge games in college and stunk in the pros? There's no connection. See, Bryce Young had a lot of big games in college. And he was terrified when he got to the NFL for good reason on that offensive line. I mean, I can't buy that. But C.J. Stroud, okay. He did have big games in college. Is there anyone out there, the most optimistic person in the world, when he went number 2 in the draft, who said this is who he's going to be? Well, and it was more the Ohio State thing. No Ohio State quarterback had delivered. It is amazing to me how poised he is.
Well, I think we all said that he was the most NFL ready.
Yes.
But nobody thought NFL ready meant not just leading your team to the playoffs, winning your division by getting a little help from some other teams, and now destroying your first-round opponent who, listen, the offense, like for Cleveland, you're with Joe Flacco. He's your 4th quarterback. There are a lot of built-in excuses, but this was one of the best defenses in the league. I know
absolutely.
They were a bit banged up, but C.J. Stroud was surgical.
Also, let's not forget the fact they were a 3-13-1 team last year who needed a miracle not to have the number 1 pick in Week 18. This was the worst team in the league. And C.J. Stroud came in here and head coach DeMeco Ryans. Give him a lot of credit, too. Those two guys, this is the most radical turnaround I can remember. I mean, there's no way the Texans are supposed to be in the second round of the playoffs this year. I think it's easy to lose sight of that because they look like they belong. They don't really.
No.
It's totally against logic that they're here.
Do you remember you and I sitting in Kansas City for the draft? Okay.
Yeah.
And we're after day 1 happens and we're starting the show on day 2 before the second round starts. And it's like, what was the story? How bad the Texans foobarred the trade up to get Will Anderson Jr. and how could they let Arizona get the better of the 2 picks? And it's like, how did they lose this? And it turns out that nobody's going to ever talk about that ever again because Will Anderson Jr. is good and C.J. Stroud, they chose correctly.
Are we going to remember that next draft when we call out some team for a trade? Because, again, it doesn't follow any logic whatsoever. The Texans are here, and full congratulations.
Let's hear from Nico Collins on C.J. Stroud's extraordinary play.
Legendary, man. He's special. He deserves it. You know what? He deserves it, man. He deserves everything, for sure. There's one dude that's calm and collected, but job not finished. I'm not done. But we're going to enjoy this win, man. Definitely. It was a huge win for the city. Definitely for this team, man. We deserve it.
I hope they don't think mission accomplished. I don't think they do. I think they're going to be really good in the second round, too. Here's DeMeco Ryans saying C.J. Stroud is the reason why the Texans are where they are.
C.J. is the reason why we're in this position. He's special young man, special player, continues to shine no matter how big the moment is. Like, our whole team is leaning on him, and he has the shoulders to carry that weight.
That's crazy to say about a rookie. That is crazy to say about a rookie.
Yep.
Now, Perloff, I was saying I can't tell if this is going to be because, okay, so the Texans are going to either be at the Ravens or at the Chiefs Saturday afternoon, 4:30. A little step up in weight class, especially we're a little step up. So I can't tell if this is like in the NCAA tournament, when a team pulls off a big upset in the first round, then they lose by 30 in the next round. It's like they did with, they're riding the high and then they run into a little bit better team and just like really fall. I don't think that's the Texans. I hope that's not the Texans because this is an amazing team. This might be this year's Bengals. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about a lot of those teams, like the Texans, remember one year they made it to the second round and went to Foxborough and just got absolutely destroyed. I think that the competition is not that great. The Ravens are great, but the Chiefs are not great. So I think the Chiefs won in that cold weather. That's going to be – I can't see that being a blowout. I understand what you're saying, like a 45-10. The Chiefs are not blowing anyone out 45-10. Now, if I'm the Texans, I do want to avoid the Ravens. It's going to be hard.
It's not up to them.
Yeah. The Ravens in Baltimore seem like a bit of a juggernaut right now, so that could be a blowout. But then again, listen – I did not see them winning that game like that. I understand it was a 2-point spread, but still, that just absolutely pushed Jim Schwartz's defense around. Oh, my gosh.
A clinic, and you're relying on a rookie quarterback, and he's just meeting the moment at every single turn. Let's go to the phones, 855-212-4CBS. superstar in the making, CJ Stroud. George is in Pennsylvania, has got a thought on his Birds playing later today against the Bucks. Hey, George.
Hey, how are you guys?
Fantastic.
Listen, I was just thinking about my Birds, and I think what we're suffering from the Super Bowl hangover phenomenon, except that it's hit us full-blown late. I mean, it was knocking our crazy train all season long when we were almost lost but won until the wheels finally came off. And, like the Chiefs, we were neither first nor second seed. So, and all the reasons it caused a Super Bowl hangover, because, it's not just some sort of...
George, we're kind of
Okay.
losing you here. You're going in and out. I'm going to hand this to you.
Okay, so George is on to something. We have a good buddy, Elliot Shores Parks, who's an Eagles reporter. He tweeted something the other day that reminded me of something I said. You know what? The Eagles were just exhausted the second half of the season. Yes, they had this crazy schedule. I think they got worn out. They played into February last year in Arizona. The dry heat out there. Then they had to turn it around. This team's just tired. And I know that my friend Andrew Bogusch agrees with that.
Did you just say the dry heat of Arizona was still sapping their strength in the fall?
I mean, honestly, they did not have a long enough offseason, and you see the fatigue is set in.
But they were 10-1.
Yes. Then they got tired. As George said, the
So
hangover
they
hit
weren't
late.
tired,
The
and
hangover
then
hit
they
late.
got tired.
You guys ever
Delayed
got
hangover.
You ever got hammered, and then at like 10 a.m. you're like, I'm okay. Then by noon, all you want to do is go to bed?
The delayed
I know
hangover.
That's a 2-hour
Okay.
stretch there. We're talking about a 3-month stretch that you're talking about right now.
So if the Eagles lose this game, they don't need to change the coach.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that
It's a dry heat.
they're
Come
tired.
on.
They're tired. Listen, they're not
Sirianni's
young.
from upstate New York, man. We don't do well in the heat.
They are not young. Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Jason Kelsey, they are one of the older teams, and it gets you. I
Yeah.
know it, man. Like,
I know that old guy Jalen Hurts is really walking around with a cane. I mean,
AJ Brown, he's on his last legs too, right?
yeah, and he's actually not playing today. Ruled out for the game, so that's not good. But you still have Devontae Smith.
and Lane Johnson, pretty old, too.
So here's the thing: the Super Bowl hangover.
Yeah.
Congrats, you play a first place schedule now. This is what happens when you win the division and you don't get to face every bad quarterback under the sun.
Maggie, we just lost to the Giants and the Arizona Cardinals. What are you talking about first place schedule?
That's gets mixed in. With
Well,
all
no, but before that was the run of games that you said broke them because they were so
Exhausting.
tired. Those are real teams.
That was, I mean, listen, a lot of these guys are older players. They need naps. They can't be game planning all day for the second half of the season. They were run down, and now they're injured. So Jalen Hurts' finger is hurt. A.J. Brown's hurt. They've kind of like...
You make it seem like the offensive line is made up of just like Joe Biden's. I don't know
They
what
kind of
you're
are.
talking
You also
about.
make it seem like fatigue is an excuse. Like if you're saying my team is old and they're tired, well, then that's your fault.
Put it on the GM.
That's Howie Roseman's fault.
Well, that's the ironic thing. Everyone wants to fire Nick Sirianni, apparently including Pete Bellotti there. Whatever, dude. Whoever comes in next year has to understand this team's roster is not getting better. It's getting significantly worse.
Whoever has to come in there,
significantly
be
worse.
like, cut back on this practice time. These guys are
Yeah,
just they're fatigued.
Well, no, these
Forget
guys
about
are
2 a days. We can't do 1 a days.
Walkthroughs only.
Well, the
Training
old guys
camps
are
and
all. I mean, you think it's bad now. Wait till Jason Kelsey's not on the line. Wait till Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox are gone. It's all happening soon. I'm telling you, this team, Bill Belichick, if you have a choice between the Cowboys and the Eagles, take the Cowboys.
But you can't say that they're old and tired and then say Sirianni has to go because he lost them. It can't be all of those things.
I'm not as big a... Okay, I'm just a realist. I think if Sirianni loses to the Bucs tonight, you do not want a mob of Philly fans to storm the link. I think there's no way he can stay in Philadelphia now. They hate him so much. I am not a hater. The guys who've been in the playoffs 3 years in a
Yeah,
row.
but if he's a good coach, he'll win them back over.
Right.
Well, okay. I mean, he's not a great coach. He
Well,
doesn't
when they
really,
take when they have a
call
full
plays on either side of the ball.
Got your team to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So.
Kind of. That was more Steichen. But anyway.
And if they lose tonight, they'll have plenty of time to rest up for next year. So they go back to being the team that just made the Super Bowl.
Yeah, 1, 2,
Yeah,
3.
Eagles fans also, they're very fickle. I mean, they hated Andy Reid.
Yeah,
they didn't like the Doug Peterson hiring. Like, I'm not going to hire and fire coaches off what Eagles fans are telling me.
But the reality is there is this strong sentiment, and I don't know if it matters, but the public sentiment against Sirianni is shocking.
You want to know what's funny about
and
that,
I
EJ?
think he is done if they lose.
You're right. Like, you can never... Marv Levy always had the great line, if you start listening to the fans, you'll be sitting with them. But so far, Eagle fans have been right about a couple things.
Run the ball.
Run the ball, which was a big one. He had to give up the play calling duties.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been right on one thing, so I think the coach has no credibility.
That being said, I mean, you might not want to crowdsource with the Philadelphia Eagles crowd, considering they have to put Vaseline on the light post when they win a game.
And that's for the wins.
Class acts.
Yeah, and remind them not to eat horse excrement.
Yeah.
But really, guys, don't eat that.
But the Eagles fans are passionate. The best Eagles moment of all time was when that guy after the fire said they threw down a baby. What was the line?
Dropped to catching them not like Aguilar.
Yeah, Aguilar dropped it.
They threw a baby out of a burning building, and the guy said, "I caught it, unlike Aguilar." Holy moly!
What a town!
I will put this out: if they lose to the Bucks, then Nick Sirianni is done. Because part of the same thing with the Cowboys. These big names floating out there: Belichick, Harbaugh, Vrabel. I mean, these owners are not immune to the noise.
No,
they'll understand it, and they'll make a move.
I think Michael Lombardi said something about this, and I think he's right. He's a former GM. He said if your coach is going to go into next year on the hot seat, like if you would fire them next year if they don't win, why not fire them this year if you have this, all this talent on the open market?
Great point.
Meanwhile, you were worried about the dry heat in Arizona from the Super Bowl. Cigar City Capo said the humidity in Tampa is unbearable, so built an excuse for there.
Well, it's January 15th. If they lose tonight, then they have plenty of rest, and watch out in September. I'm telling you right now, bet on the Eagles in week 1. Could be.
Are they going to sit in a cold tub for 4 months?
We're talking naps. We're going to talk, well rested like a baby.
Well, you got to go Tom Brady on this. You got to sleep 18 hours a day.
Good thing you're not in charge of the training staff.
Bogusch is here with headlines. Yo.
Guys, Matthew Stafford was in position to break Lion hearts last night, but his Rams' final possession ended with a punt from just across midfield. They never got the ball back, and it was Stafford with the broken heart instead.
Said it earlier in the week. Nobody gave us a chance to even be sniffing where we are right now, and gave a really good football team a run for their money. Didn't get it done, but I'm proud of the guys, proud of their efforts from coaching staff, players, everybody involved in it.
The Rams kicked 3 red zone field goals instead of scoring touchdowns last night. They lost 24-23, letting the Lions end their 9-game postseason losing streak dating back to 92. Jared Goff was also facing his old team. He went 22 for 27, 277 yards, a score, and the win. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs scored on the ground for Detroit, who now host the Bucks or those sleepy Eagles in Sunday's first game. The Packers.
Sorry, 1 second. Are we putting any of this on Sean McVay, where you have 4:15 left? So I know there's a lot of time left, and the Lions had not been able to do basically anything in the second half. They scored 3 total points in the second half and did not score in the fourth quarter. But you're at a 4th and 14 at the Detroit 44.
Yeah.
I think you had to punt because they've been shutting down the Lions.
I know, but
God bless the Lions for throwing that pass.
See, I think you punt because you were shutting them. I mean,
you
go for
it
because you were stopping them.
That's what I agree. That's what I think.
Oh, come on. You guys are playing Monday morning quarterback.
No.
In the moment, you said 4th and 14.
You only had 1 timeout left.
What are the odds of 4th and 14 of hitting it, though?
No, you're not, and you could have gotten picked off, and I get that it's going to be pass play, so there's all the advantages that might go to the defense there, but, you still are at the 44. That's a punt, basically, and a good return. I mean, it's pretty good field position. But your defense have been playing well.
Yeah, and that's the weird spot of the field now between the 40s where punting, you don't really gain that much field position. It really makes sense to go in that spot with 1 timeout left because you're playing defense. I would have gone for it on 4th down and see what happens.
I just think they were. I'm sorry, Jay. I think they were a bit demoralized because the Puka Nacua play before on 3rd and 14 was such an obvious holding call. Did they think we're not getting a call here tonight? The refs are not going to throw a flag in our favor because you can't get mugged more than Puka did. I mean, it was. I thought there was enough contact to throw a flag on the previous play, and the refs did not.
How many 3-and-outs had the Lions had before that?
Standby.
3 out of 4 drives or something. And I think they thought the Lions were going to run the ball and try and kill the clock. I don't think they knew. They forgot Dan Campbell's a psycho.
Right. That's the problem, though.
Yeah.
It was a 3-and-out the drive before, a 4-and-out the drive before that.
Yeah, so I think they were hot. And honestly, if Goff had missed that pass, then the Rams win the game. So it wasn't. I understand what you guys are saying, yeah. But I do feel like it's easy to say now. I didn't see any of you guys tweet that out right before.
I was actually asleep last night. I watched it again in the fourth quarter.
My dog was going crazy at the end of the night.
Why, the dog wanted to go for it?
Oh, no, my dog wanted to see where her mom was.
honestly,
locked away with COVID.
A dog coaching a game versus Mike McCarthy. I'm just kidding.
I'm taking Lita over everybody.
Bogish, I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
That's okay. The Packers winners yesterday as well over Mike McCarthy and those Cowboys in Dallas. So Jordan Love's 1 for 1 as a postseason QB.
Can't say enough how proud I am of everybody in the locker room. It's been a long season. We've been counted out a lot of the season. So just the way everybody keeps battling, keeps competing, getting better, and obviously putting on great performances like tonight. So it's a great feeling.
Love with 3 touchdown passes. Aaron Jones ran for 3. Green Bay led yesterday 27-0, 34-10, and 41-16 before winning 48-32, snapping the Cowboys' 16-game home winning streak. We are on Jim Harbaugh watch, by the way. He is reportedly in L.A. right now to meet with the Chargers. As we mentioned last hour, it was Dame time in Milwaukee last night.
Lillard goes into the front court. He's going to fire up a 3 for the win, and he hit it! Dame time has arrived on time in overtime!
Dave Kane, Bucks Radio, Milwaukee taking a 143-142 OT thriller from the Kings. Thanks to that 30-foot 3. Now, Sacramento head coach Mike Brown watched the 3 from back in the locker room because he got tossed, stormed the court to argue with the officials. He then brought a laptop to his post-game press conference with questionable calls queued up for the media.
I just want to show you guys why I got kicked out of the game right here. This is in the this is in the third quarter with 1:28 left to go in the third.
And then he proceeded to run through 2 different calls that he thought were extra terrible. And at the end, he's looking directly into the camera on him, like pleading with the NBA to explain what was going on last night. But I like the visual aids.
I like the Rocky IV Russian guy who was complaining about the calls better. The Raptors coach.
Yeah, but you can't all be Darko.
Yeah. That was a much more rational reason to pull out a laptop. It's the opposite of the Darko guy.
Mike Brown kind of seems like that guy who, if a girlfriend breaks up with him, is like, but here's the reason why you should stay with me. It's like, I've got a job. I love you. I can change. Yeah. It's like, let me get the PowerPoint presentation out for what. Please don't break up with me, Marissa.
I'm the head coach of an NBA team.
This is shame.
A minor trade in the NBA yesterday. The Pistons salary dumping Marvin Bagley III on the Wizards. Detroit may now have $64 million to spend this summer. But the point of mentioning this is that Bagley was the second pick in the 2018 draft ahead of Luka, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Trae Young.
I was so sure about Marvin Bagley.
Me too. I thought he was going to be
good.
He
was so good at God. He's 7 feet. He runs like he was the number 2 pick, EJ.
He couldn't shoot. He couldn't shoot, and he was a 6. His best attribute was an offensive rebounder at like 200 pounds. Like, I don't know how anybody thought he was going to be good. I'm sorry.
He was a number 2 overall pick. You're acting like he was a 3rd rounder.
I thought that was a ridiculous pick to take him number 2.
Who was number 1 that year? I'm sorry.
DeAndre Ayton.
I also I thought Jahlil Okafor was going to be unstoppable.
Well, I liked him, so I'll join you in that.
I feel like Bagley is sort of his twin in a sense.
Bagley is very thin.
He's half of Okafor.
Didn't we go through this? The one person maybe we talked about it, never did on the air. The one person you were sure was going to hit and became a total bust.
Marcus Fizer, random one, but I
love Marcus Fizer. Iowa State, right? Yep. Yeah. I'd have to think about that.
I think Marvin Bagley might have been one of them. Front runner.
Oh, I don't know if I was that high on him that he's all time. Real quick off Wild Card Weekend, who here is not a Puka Nacua fan? If I could buy
Probably
a jersey,
Pete.
I think the whole country fell in love with this. I know we've watched him, and we have watched him. He had 1,500 yards. And then on the other side, and the Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs coolness factor is through the roof. I'm a Lions fan, too. Can I be a Lions fan? Is that a bad way?
No. Oh
I want a 26 Lions jersey. Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs reminds me when I was a kid and running backs were actually unstoppable. Oh, is he amazing.
You should just root for players, not teams.
I am. That's how I root.
Get rid of the Eagles stuff. Just root for players.
No, he's wearing the Eagles shirt underneath the sweatshirt today,
Ridiculous.
aren't you?
I don't know what you're talking about. Hold on one second.
I knew it.
Perloff's taking off his
Kelly
sweatshirt.
Green.
Scared
Put
what's
it on.
happening.
Is
here.
this the lucky one or the unlucky one?
I don't
it's the
remember
Eagles.
anymore. I can't remember how tired the Eagles were the last time I played
You
this.
said they had no chance of winning this game. Or no chance of advancing.
Something has changed. Now, all of a sudden, I think the Eagles. I think it was
Nope. I'm stopping you here.
Yep.
Not allowed. There's no change.
Well, the worst
case
scenario has always been avoided. The worst case scenario was going to Dallas and getting blown out by the Cowboys. Now that that's off the table, I'm back in.
It's Eagle fans feeling happy because Dallas lost.
And that's loser energy. I can't stand that.
Well, it's called the universe, and it works a certain way. And we Eagles fans know very well. Okay, I can handle a loss to the Bucs. I can handle a loss to the Lions. I could not handle a loss to Dallas.
Loser.
855-212.
You guys are New York fans.
No.
You guys haven't won anything in decades.
Yeah, and guess what?
You're
We're
such a
still New York
loser.
fans. I didn't trade in my Giants fandom. Was not in the playoffs. I didn't even celebrate the Cowboys. Well, I did celebrate the Cowboys losing a little bit yesterday.
You guys don't even have the excuse of being tired. You guys are done at the end of every regular season.
And guess what? We're not picking new teams to root for.
I'm not saying, hey, C.J. Stroud, let me get his jersey.
Ooh, I want I want that one too.
We're not using the dry heat as an excuse.
855-212-4CBS. Okay, lots more to do, including what do you do with Tua? His future after the big loss in Kansas City. Was it actually his fault? He just blamed the weather. 855-212-4227. We also got more Cowboys stuff for you. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone all season long. You can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone. AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Restrictions apply. If anyone wants to mail me a jersey, I will gladly take Jahmyr Gibbs, CJ Stroud, Jordan Love, or Puka Nacua, my 4 new favorite players. This is a great time for young new stars in the NFL. This is so exciting.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
I mean, headlined by CJ Stroud and Jordan Love pulling off an incredible upset. I mean, Stroud, their team was a little close. It was like a 2.5-point favorite. They were at home. What we saw the Packers do yesterday was a thorough domination. Granted, the Texans also dominated, but this was a team with a Super Bowl aspiration in the Dallas Cowboys. And think about it, the Packers may have set the Cowboys off on a totally different trajectory. You know, because if they don't make changes now, and I'm talking about Dallas, it's going to so wildly turn off the fan base. It's going to look like Jerry doesn't care. Bill is in California. Has got to take on this Cowboys-Packers game. How'd you see it, Bill?
Hey, Mag, bro, how you guys doing? Thanks for taking my call. Mm-hmm. Hey, my take is, everybody making Dallas America's team. They ain't America's team. The media makes them America's team. And I hate to say this, but like you guys are talking more about Dallas's loss and what they got to do and everything, more than Green Bay coming in and destroying them. I'm not a Green Bay fan. I hope Green Bay blew their wad yesterday because we're taking them on this weekend. My God, this should be about Green Bay, the Texans. Screw Dallas.
Yeah.
Who cares about Dallas? Dak is who we thought he is. He's not a good quarterback. The whole team, they're just not there. They're not there. They prove it all year long, but yet now that they got their butts whooped by a good team, all we want to talk about is where's Dallas going to be? What's going to go on? Screw that. Let's talk about those teams that did a great job this weekend. That's
Bill,
my take.
I get it, and thank you. I will disagree. I do think that the Cowboys did earn the America's team. I don't think they still are. I don't know if they still are. The ratings would tell you differently. But they did earn that in the 70s and then the 90s. They had 2 generations of football fans. Now, to be fair, they have not carried the torch because they cannot win in the 2000s.
This is not even a discussion point. You telling me, I understand the logic, we should be talking about the winners, but the Dallas Cowboys, who are America's team by 50 miles, lose when they're favored by a touchdown. I mean, no, but of course we're talking about this. You have to. I think you can walk to, I'll use water cooler, even though people don't talk by the water cooler. Is there any football fan out there not talking about the Cowboys? They're the one team that transcends regionality.
Well, I would also say this. I mean, not in defense of what we're doing on our show. I think there's a lot of changes coming to Dallas, which is why this is interesting. But also, we have a week to celebrate the Packers. They're not going anywhere. They have to go now face San Francisco. It's going to be fun. It's going to be, this rivalry in some ways. Obviously, it's the Niners and the Cowboys rivalry is massive, but the Niners and the Packers rivalry has become good.
Something about the Packers is a little bit of house money. Yeah. So I'm not sure that if they win, amazing. If they lose, everyone's still just as excited for the next step. That's why you might not talk about the Packers much now. But I don't even think it's a change. It's just the Cowboys. they're really like, you have your team and then you have thoughts on the Cowboys, and that's not going to change. And even if they keep McCarthy, they're still going to be the story of the offseason. They're just so fascinating.
I can't even imagine them keeping McCarthy after this. And I don't think I'm laying a lot of this at the feet of Dak Prescott. Everyone, really. But Belichick, Harbaugh, I mean, they've done multiple coaches. You're getting the same result. We'll talk more about that in a minute. 855-2124-CBS. Do not move. We've got more on those Dallas Cowboys. We've got more on Tua and where the Dolphins go now after their loss. Plus, a look ahead to tonight. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's the reigning Fortnite champion. She's a Call of Duty legend. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
They set up a wing on the left side, Love under center. Motion to the left side by Watson. Jones the lone sent back. Give is to Aaron Jones. Picks his way up the middle. Busting. End zone. Touchdown. Aaron Jones doing it again to the Cowboys.
Frustrated, as you just said, is the great word for my play. The way that we came out here and we started this game, and then just shocked, honestly. From the beginning of the game, we got beat. There's no other which way around it, no way to sugarcoat it. Obviously, I didn't play well, and shock.
Yep, shock. I mean, they got annihilated yesterday. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. At one point, this game was 41-16. It was a absolute butt whooping by the Green Bay Packers, and now Dallas is left to pick up the pieces.
That broadcaster, that's cold to say that it's a turnstile. Okay, this is going to sound like I'm defending Dak Prescott, but when you let the other team run all over you, that means your offense is not on the field. That means your offense can't get any rhythm. That means that your passing game is going to suffer. So to put this all on Dak is ridiculous to me. And I'm not saying you're doing that, but I think that I'm not giving up on the Cowboys with a new coach who is not going to have his team be tight in the playoffs. A guy who's been in the playoffs like a Belichick or a Harbaugh, I think could inspire this team to play over their head in the postseason instead of well below their head, which is what they did last night. Is that an expression?
Yeah, over their skis or whatever.
Well, over their head and below their head. Doesn't make any sense. But that's what they did.
Okay, they were tight yesterday, obviously. I mean, listen, you have Green Bay who just gets the fortune, the 50-50 coin toss. They win. They go down and score. That can't mean the game's over.
Well, usually no one takes the ball after they win the coin toss. You defer. That's what everyone else in the NFL does. But they said we can get to the Cowboys by running it right down their throat.
And they did. And, it was actually a Cowboys penalty that kept that first drive going. And so, the Packers just had answers at every turn, and Dallas had none.
Yeah.
And you can say that they were tight, and they were. Sure, I think they thought they had it. I don't know if it was a tight. I think it was almost, were they too relaxed? Did they think that we're a touchdown favorite? This team is coming in. They're young. They're probably just happy to make the playoffs. They can come in here and be our sacrificial lamb. And then it was like a wake-up call in that first drive, especially the first drive defensively for Green Bay.
Yeah.
They came, they were physical, and I think the Cowboys offense was like, oh no. Like, CeeDee Lamb
particularly
all
he
of a sudden
off.
had to think twice. Am I going to get absolutely decapitated on some of these throws?
I don't know. I think something looked, it wasn't just when they were down 7-0, he already looked off. On the first drive, he made a play. It was like, wait, did he just run the right route? What is going on with CeeDee Lamb? Felt like for some reason he came out confused. I don't understand why. I saw him literally single-handedly butt whoop the Eagles twice. He's amazing receiver. And last night, for most of the first half, he just did not have it.
Here's the thing about putting the blame on any one person, all of it. It's hard to do when you get thoroughly destroyed in this way. Here's what I'm saying about Dak Prescott. And I think Mike McCarthy is probably going to be gone, so they'll make that change. You're not changing the owner and the general manager and Jerry Jones as much as people want that to happen. Here's the thing about Prescott. You know it, and I know it. Not winning a Super Bowl. And the problem with that is that the Cowboys, because their general manager, have really shoehorned themselves into Prescott. Now, the guys a 12-game winner and all of that. I'm not saying he's a bad QB. I'm saying you left yourself with no options. There's no escape hatch. There's no reroute this thing. I don't see it. You're paying him too much. You're in for a penny, in for a pound on Prescott, and he is not going to win you a Super Bowl. 8 years in, and you can't win a home playoff game in a game you are favored by a touchdown. Guys, if it didn't happen yet, it's not going to happen. This is not John Elway we're talking about losing in Super Bowls when we knew he was an all-time great quarterback and then finally did it at the end. This is Dak Prescott, who had a spotty playoff record to begin with and now just got embarrassed at home.
Yeah, I mean, Dak Prescott, people have underestimated him his whole life. First of all, no one thought he was going to come in as a rookie, as a fourth-round pick, and be a playoff quarterback. No one. There's not a single person in the entire sports media landscape, and everyone talks about the Cowboys all the time, who thought he'd be a top 3 MVP candidate this year. So we way underestimated him last year. I think you're underestimating him again. You give him a great coach, and I think it's a different ballgame.
Okay, but if I give him a great coach and then that coach says, I want to come in and I want a great defense and a run game, then I can't pay my quarterback $50 million to do that.
Every quarterback gets $50 million. You're not going to have a veteran quarterback if you're not paying him $50 million.
50, they wish they could just pay him 50.
That's the thing. That's not on the Cowboys. That's part of the structure of the NFL. Veteran quarterbacks are going to make that much money.
I know there is very little like middle class, if you will. It's like either you have to get $150 million guaranteed or you're making like $20 million, and there's not a lot in between. And for that reason, the Cowboys are kind of in they have no like other choices but to go with Prescott, unless you think, Trey Lance sitting back there is going to do something? This is rough if you're a Cowboy fan because there's no easy answer.
Well,
bring in Jim Harbaugh, bring in Bill Belichick. If your quarterback comes up small in the big moments, that's not going to change.
Well, you know it'd help. Tackle somebody and run the football. At least have a threat of a run. Look at what they're showing on the TV. Look at the interceptions. Everyone knows you're throwing to CeeDee Lamb, but there's no chance you're getting a first down with the ghost of Tony Pollard out there, who's a free agent and good riddance. He was not a number one back. And your offensive line is getting old. I understand that, but you gotta get tough. You gotta protect your quarterback. I hate to say it, and you can win a Super Bowl that way. We've seen it. Listen, Brock Purdy has a great chance to win the Super Bowl this year. Right now, are they winning because of Brock Purdy? No, but they are setting up a team that can run and can stop the run, and that is the key to really going far in the postseason.
I agree with you, but also look at San Francisco. I mean,
Dallas could be that.
Their third option at receiver is better than the second option for Dallas.
Dallas has got, they missed with Brandon Cooks. They need to invest in a real threat other than CeeDee Lamb.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, let's go to George. He is in South Carolina. Had a thought on the Cowboys wide receivers from yesterday. Hey, George.
Hey, guys. Good morning. Good morning, America. Yeah, what I saw was Lamb, of course, having a little bit of a meltdown because they couldn't get the ball to him. During the game, he would have double coverage, sometimes even triple coverage. It kind of reminded me of the child that's in the grocery store going down the cereal aisle, and mama's not getting the cereal that he wants. And she knows good and well he ain't going to eat the cereal. He just wants the prizes on the inside. And so they wind up trying to throw the ball to him. And like I said, triple coverage. And can Lamb catch those balls? Yes, he's done it before. But yesterday it just wasn't happening. There should have been other receivers that Dak should have thrown to. And Lamb needs to have a little bit more of a team spirit instead of complaining that he's not getting the ball and doing the highlight show. That's what I had to say. Appreciate you guys' show, and have a good one.
I agree so much, George. You could see I think he had a temper tantrum and did not go all out on balls. Again, look at the highlights. There was that play in the end zone where at the end of the half, the Cowboys ended up scoring a touchdown anyway, so it didn't matter. But it was a fade in the corner to CeeDee Lamb. He did not put a full effort out on the ball. Regular season, when he's confident and feeling himself, that's a touchdown. I just thought that CeeDee Lamb felt the pressure last night, and we all knew. How many times did I say all you have to do to stop the Cowboys is cover CeeDee Lamb?
You did say that.
So they did it, and he did not respond well. I think he lost his confidence, and he was obviously complaining. That's why Dak was upset. So to me, again, same thing as last year. This is not all on Dak. His wide receivers can kill him. We've seen it many times in the past. There's something wrong with that wide receiver core. They do not show up in the big moments either.
It would be an interesting time for CeeDee Lamb to suddenly, not put in max effort, considering he's on the doorstep of signing a massive contract. And this should be the carrot that's out there.
Do you think he was going all out for some of those balls? I mean, there was one that was maybe 3 inches behind him that he catches all the time. I'm not saying he wasn't putting out max effort. I think he felt the pressure of the playoffs, and I think he came up small.
Yeah, I think there was something about, I think the Green Bay secondary did not have a great reputation coming into this game. The Green Bay defense in general did not have a good reputation coming into this game. And they just got physical and turned it on them. And I think the Cowboys got punched in the mouth a little bit, like, oh, shoot. What are we going to do now? And then all of a sudden you're down 14-0, and then Dak throws a pick 6, and now you're down, and it's like panic.
Well, big thing was not having Jair Alexander for a lot of this season.
And he got knocked out of this game.
Yeah, he got banged up in this game as well. But, I mean,
they didn't know
he was bodying
healthy.
CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, and when he's healthy, this is the kind of player he is.
He's great as long as he doesn't run out for the coin toss.
But, which is crazy.
Also something that helped the Packers at all the games this weekend, they let the DBs get very physical with the receivers. So I think that was a huge factor. I think the interception, Jair Alexander's interception, he was awfully physical with the receiver. I think it was a great no call. But that being said, that helped them immediately. Jair Alexander, before the game, it was interesting. Jay Glazer on Fox said, we're monitoring him. We don't think that he can cover CeeDee Lamb if he's not full strength. He was so full strength when he was out there. What a player. He is funny, though. He is. Remember that he is just a total character. And I think you need that. The Packers are so loose right now. Jay Alexander is one of the loosest guys. House money. That being said, I'm picking the Niners the next round, but I still am totally about this.
We'll get to the Niners when we get to the Niners. Today, still unpacking this win over the Cowboys. Don is in Houston. Has got some issues with the Cowboys. Don, let it out.
Hey, good morning, Maggie. Perloff. How y'all doing?
Fantastic. What's up?
Hey, great fan of y'all's. Welcome to Houston market. Heard you guys for the first time. In fact, I think y'all used to be later on in the day or something. Y'all switched to the early morning show, and I found you guys by mistake and been listening to you ever since.
Oh, thank you.
Great show. Found you on YouTube.
Oh,
just a great show. The whole staff. You guys are great. Hey, real quick, this thing with the Dallas Cowboys, please, it's not rocket science. The problem with the Dallas Cowboys is Jerry Jones, obviously. Mm-hmm. And that guy's not going to change. Okay, he is who he is. He's not going to give anybody any power up there. They're never going to have a coach like Belichick or someone like Harbaugh, which y'all have already talked about, because they're going to require to coach a team and manage a team, and Jones ain't going to allow them to do that. And secondly, especially in today's game, you have to have a franchise quarterback. You have to have a great quarterback to win in this league today because of the spread offense, the RPO.
Yep.
Back 20 years ago, you could get by with the West Coast offense. You could get by with mediocre quarterbacks. It goes all the way back. The reason they can't win up there, it goes all the way back to Tony Romo. Tony Romo did the same thing that Dak is doing today. He'd win through the season, and come playoff time,
he would fall
couldn't
short.
Get him over the line.
You know what? At least though,
same
with Don,
thing with Dak.
Don, and I'm so glad you found our show. Thank you so much, and we love being on in Houston because, as Perloff has said, lifelong Houston Cougars fan,
and now a newfound Houston Texans fan,
and now new Texans fan.
And I don't hate the Astros as much as most people either.
Yes, Perloff pandering, but I think that we love Houston. We had such a great time during the Final Four last year, but this is the thing. You had like drama and stuff at times with Tony Romo. And I'm not just talking about the Jessica Simpson thing, but I'm talking about like the botched, hold on the field goal, stuff like that.
That was early, but yes.
Yes. So you had all these things. Like Dak's got none of that. So it's like you can't even say, oh, the walls are closing in, or, he's got to deal with all these tabloid things too. There's no drama. He's just bad when it comes to the big games.
I don't know. I agree. I mean, you're saying Romo is better in big games? Same exact thing.
No,
they would go 12-4 and lose in the second round.
There was always
same.
There was always also a criticism that came with Romo that sometimes was a little more tabloidy. Like Dak doesn't have any of that stuff. This is all football, and it's just not coming up big in the big moment.
I mean, I don't think Romo can use the Jessica. None of that is a valid excuse. It's not like Romo's out there partying all the time. He was fine. It's very similar. What's the common ingredient? No matter who the coach is, no matter who the quarterback, the common ingredient is Jerry Jones. And we're looking way too deep into this. And again, if it's not going to be Dak Prescott, please go to another quarterback. I would, as an Eagles fan, I want you to be mediocre next year because Dak is a top 10 quarterback, and they don't have not a lot of those. I mean, you can take it for granted winning 12 games. That could go away pretty easily too.
Let's go to Wesley. I mean, the Cowboys were 8-8 for a long time, and they stuck with Jason Garrett. Wesley's in South Carolina's got a thought on the Cowboys' defense. Hey, Wes, what's up?
Good morning. I've been listening to this show, and Dak and CD and Tony Pollard, and those guys didn't give up 48 points. I remember as a kid always being taught that defense wins games, and to give up 48 points is why Dallas lost this game. I don't think Dak played bad. He gave up 6 points. The play calling was suspect. They didn't take the pressure off of Dak. I had Tony Pollard in fantasy football all year, and he stunk. This game, Tony Pollard ran the ball. He ran the ball well, and they went away from it. But the defense gave up 48 points. Nobody's talking about Dan Quinn. They're talking about Dak and CD.
Yeah, listen, Wesley, you're not wrong, and appreciate that. And Dan Quinn should be absolutely under the microscope for this one. But I just ask you, so the first drive of the game, Green Bay goes down and scores a touchdown. First drive for Dallas, they punt. Okay, then Green Bay punts. Second drive for Dallas offensively, interception. Then Green Bay scores a touchdown. Then they punt because Dak takes a bad sack that sacked him out of field goal range, which you cannot do in year 8. Not anymore. Then the fourth offensive drive for the Cowboys is the pick 6, and now you're 27-0. So the defense, yes, put it on them, but your offense did absolutely nothing to even give you a prayer in the first half, and it was over in the second.
Was Dak missing open guys? I think that call is exactly right. The play calling was garbage.
Oh, the play calling was bad too. And
I mean, I don't even
get
understand.
Open.
Yeah, but they were in a tough spot where they could not establish a run, so they had to start drop back. And when Dak drops back, everyone in that entire stadium, including the Packers, know that he's looking for CeeDee Lamb, so they took advantage.
Okay, DT was in our chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. Don found the chat. You guys find the chat. They're fun, really welcoming people. We said that a pick 6, this is what DT, one of our weirdos said. Weirdos who smoke weed, said, a pick 6 is so demoralizing. It's like walking in, finding your wife with the mailman. And we got into a discussion that feels like kind of a dated reference, mostly because I think a lot of women work now, and I think a lot of mail carriers are female, so I think the reference gets dated. Also, UPS, FedEx, I think just
better selection there?
Maybe. I don't know. But I love the mailman. Our person's awesome.
But by the way, that pick 6,
them.
Obviously, and maybe you guys disagree, that pick 6 did not cost them the game. Weren't they down 20-0 already?
Yes, but...
So your win probability is about less than 1% at that point. They had already lost that game.
They were driving.
Yeah, but still, it was 20-0. They were driving. They were at midfield.
Right. They were. Yeah, they weren't in their own 10.
Do you think think things were going well before that pick 6? That was not what broke the... They were down 20-0 at home, and it should have been 21-0.
They scored a touchdown there. Isn't this game entirely different?
No, because they could not stop Jordan Love or Aaron Jones for even a second. Not at all.
I'm going to disagree. I think if they had scored there, it's 2nd and 2 at the Green Bay 40, and that's when Dak throws the pick 6. Then they come back. They obviously get the ball right back. 12-play drive.
They were down 20 points.
I know, but the 12-play drive, and they score right in literally the last second of the half, and they're getting the ball in the second half. So I thought, oh, here comes Dallas. They could get back in this game. They kick a field goal in the first possession of the second half. You're like, all right, now it's 27-10. That's not insurmountable at home, but Green Bay answered with a touchdown, and they weren't messing around. Green Bay had an answer for everything that Dallas wanted to do. The reason I brought up the mailman thing is because you have this all-time mailman.
Well, I think everybody who lives in an apartment building, which I don't know, 15, 20% of the country, what happens when a UPS guy comes to the door and you don't have a doorman? Do you let him in or do you wait for him to buzz up? Or a delivery guy or anything?
Yeah.
What's the etiquette? I don't even know.
For me, mailman, I let him in.
Yeah. That uniform is gravitas.
Yeah. Delivery guy, you got to wait. Sorry.
What about UPS guy? Because now there's millions of those.
UPS guy, sure. Anybody delivering.
So what if it's a fake uniform
or mail? I mean, at that point, if you committed that much to get that a fake uniform, then all right, then you know what, something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But anybody else, like again, anybody could have a coat on and in my neighborhood a lot of times, a pizza. So now a lot of times these guys have like biker helmets because they're on scooters. Yeah. But I mean, if you don't have one, then I'm definitely gonna be suspicious. So yeah. No, if you're delivering food, sorry, you got to buzz in whoever you were trying to get.
Still, I think that's a much better situation than I watch a lot of Ring videos. Living in the suburbs and having someone drop a package on your front door.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing's as good as gone.
Do they call them porch vultures or
porch pirates?
Porch pirates.
Yeah, that thing. And I understand they're getting a little better with the Ring cameras and whatnot at catching these people, but that feels like a dangerous situation. There must be so much stuff. There are probably packages that were awesome that I didn't get, that I don't even know about. People mailing me stuff.
You forgot you
yeah, what
ordered.
did you? What was on the way to you?
I have no idea. Whenever something comes in the mail, I'm like, oh, I forgot I ordered that. Aren't you guys like that? And like, you get a box, you're like, oh, awesome, a new pencil sharpener.
I have a thing where now every time I walk by my front door, I have to look outside, even when I'm not expecting a package. I don't know why. It's like a Pavlovian thing. I'm conditioned now to check outside every time.
Are you looking for the ops? What are you looking outside for?
I'm looking to see if I got a package.
Oh, okay.
Maybe someone sent me something.
This is a little too much information. I'm going to sell myself out here. About 3 weeks ago, I went for a run at 8:30 on a Sunday morning. Humble brag.
Yeah, wow, look at you getting up and at him.
I walked out the door, and there was a delivery guy who I opened the door for, and he walked in. Go out running for half an hour.
Oh, no.
Come back, and he's just leaving the building.
Huh.
I don't know what happened. 2 weeks later, there's a 24-hour doorman in our building, a security guy they had to hire.
Uh-oh.
So I think I let in the robber. And do not let anyone in my building know
my God.
this.
So you're Peter Parker.
I think
that's the Peter Parker's origin.
Yes, I know I'm Peter Parker. I think I let in the robber.
Check on your uncle. Maybe that's what happened.
With great responsibility, EJ.
Yeah, there you go.
Or what's the expression?
With great power comes great responsibility. Even Maggie got that one.
Yeah, well, it's a word.
The great power is my ability to open the door for a delivery man.
And then walk out
I think I
with
made
your earbuds in, just like not a care in the world.
I think I made a fatal mistake. I felt bad. It was cold outside. I let the guy in. That's a problem with this whole economy. Everybody orders Amazon. There's a lot of
we had a problem in our building where, I know I'm letting my off too, but whatever. We had a guy who got in and then was living in our stairwell apparently.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like apparently it was like, why does the stairwell smell? And apparently it was because they got in because someone let them in and they just started squatting there for however many days.
Yeah.
Like literally squatting.
That happens all the time.
This is not going to be great for tourism for New York, but I also have a story where we lived in a doorman building at one point, and the doorman, one day we got in, we were getting married, so all the registry stuff, like we were getting lots of packages.
Ooh,
and one day
stuff.
I walk in and there's a package sitting in the middle of our living room. I called my husband. I was like, "Oh, were you home today?" No. The doorman opened the door of our apartment, put the package in, and did God knows what else in there, and then left. And we were like, "Hey, man, we don't really need you to like come in and leave our packages. Like, please don't come into our apartment when we're not there. Total violation." And then he got fired only a couple weeks later because he was having intimate personal relations with somebody in somebody else's apartment.
I've heard that story before.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that sounds familiar. But I like the doorman putting the expensive stuff in my apartment. Our doorman goes into our apartment all the time.
We didn't have that kind of relationship with this guy. We weren't like friends with him. We didn't know him. Please stay out of my underwear drawer, Mr. Doorman. All right, 855-212-4CBS. What
he's in someone else's underwear
or my
drawer,
husband's.
seems like.
Yes, the neighbor.
Right.
Wasn't cool what her husband found out. 855-212-4227.
Oh, is that what happened? Oh, now we got a movie.
Let's get a video of that.
Pete, you voyeur. The Cowboys, yes, disappointing, horribly. We also have Tua to get into. Tough game for Miami in sub-zero conditions. We also have a weather report for you for the game today, this afternoon in Buffalo. Not looking great. 855-212-4CBS. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back here on Maggie and Perloff. Just saw a video from Buffalo. There's a lot of snow. And Maggie, I guess you had a little weather-related issue this weekend. Hashtag warrior.
Thank you.
The wind and the cold affected football, not just on the field, but the viewership.
I know. I mean, T's and P's for me, guys. It was my power got knocked out because the wind had been crazy all weekend long. Finally, just couldn't hold anymore. And knocked out the power, so I had to watch the game on my phone. I mean, it was brutal. Eventually came back on.
Did you get to sleep and shower and all that stuff?
No, yeah.
Well, I was just wondering what the deal with the hair was today.
No, I did it.
I'm just kidding. I have no idea why. No,
we went to my mom's, then we came back because there was no power. Anyway, I don't live in Buffalo or near it anymore, quite frankly. So this is what it's like. Snow in the morning, transitioning to snow in the afternoon. If that's not a Buffalo forecast, I don't know what is. The highs around 20.
Why is that a transition, by the way?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The winds are going to be 10 to 20 miles an hour. Chance of snow, 100%. And snow accumulating 5 to 8 inches. So I think it was a lot of Miami fans in my mentions. I wasn't sure exactly who they were, but people who are upset that the Bills got to move their game and Miami didn't get a chance to move their game against the Chiefs. Now, a couple things about that. One, there was a travel ban in Buffalo. This was not the Bills making this decision unilaterally. This was politicians, who we love, making this decision because it was unsafe, because last year there was a really bad storm and over 40 people died in it. So they want to be very aware of that. And listen, they moved the game to today, and the conditions are still bad. It's not like all of a sudden now you've got this clear skies, 60-degree day. This is still good. The elements are still going to play a factor, which is going to, in theory, should bring the spread down, and it should be an equalizer here between the Bills and the Steelers.
Okay, I do not believe you, because I know the governor of this state of New York cares more about the Bills than people's safety. I mean, half of my tax dollars go to the stupid new stadium they're building.
Well,
Kathy
put a
Hochul.
dome on it.
Kathy Hochul said, you know what, we're 10-point favorites. I want to get this as close to neutral as possible. So the Pittsburgh has to pass the ball. So she moved the game for competitive reasons. Yeah. I do not buy this safety one bit. This is Buffalo, New York. Do you think that they're going to stop something because of a winter storm? Get out of here. They just want Josh Allen to be able to find digs downfield. This has nothing to do with safety. Stop.
Kathy Hochul, the only person who wanted Matt Canada to remain offensive coordinator. I think the other part, too, about the Kansas City-Miami game, which ended up being, obviously, a Kansas City easy win because Miami, they're totally decimated by injury. Tua could not get the ball to Tyreek Hill, the receivers, and they looked freezing. It's negative degree. It was minus 20 the next day in Kansas City.
Yeah, it's still freezing.
It still is below zero. So there wasn't a travel ban in place, and where you move the game, you're still getting these Arctic temperatures.
Yeah, it wasn't a football decision. They weren't saving the Bills and Steelers from playing in
Yes, they
snow
were.
and wind.
Yes, they were.
They weren't.
Okay, the game's at 4:30 today. I'm looking on my phone at Buffalo, no snow, and I don't see consistent 20-mile-an-hour winds. It's way better than yesterday.
I'm looking at the weather, too, and I'm seeing snow 100%.
And the point
Not
was,
at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock.
I can't tell if you're being serious or not.
No,
here,
I'm looking right at my phone app right now.
But you literally were not allowed to leave your house after 9 p.m. on Saturday. And it takes a lot of people to staff a football game that should be out fixing roads and clearing roads and not getting people stuck in snow drifts because they're going to watch Bills Steelers.
Do you know, Bill? I mean, get out of here. Public safety, where that ranks below the Bills' success on the field, I can't even measure. This is Buffalo, New York. All they care about is how to get my Bills to advance.
I will say this. I'm not a Dolphins fan, and I'm a Jets fan, so I laugh at their misery. But if I was a Dolphins fan, if you're going to tell me, well, there's dangerous weather, and we can't have people out, so we need to move this game, but then our game, there's dangerous weather, and people shouldn't be out, but, well, you can drive, so...
That is the difference. You could have driven Arrowhead fine on Saturday night. You could not get back and forth to the stadium on Sunday.
Right, but it's still dangerous to be outside. To me, again, and I understand what they're saying, but if I'm a Dolphin, I say, well, there's still danger in people being out there okay, maybe you can't. Maybe traveling and driving literally isn't as dangerous, but there are other dangers
EJ,
that are more with being a negative degree weather than being in snow.
But so I'm with you. I would say take that up with the NFL and the local officials because here's the thing that we never talked about last week, and maybe we should have been talking about it. Should they have tried to move that Miami Kansas City game to a dome? You've got Dallas. I know they were playing the next day, but you have Dallas that's not that far. You have Indy that's not that far, and you can go to New Orleans or Minnesota. But then the fans miss out because then you're asking fans to then your Kansas City fans to have to travel to a different place, but it would have made the conditions.
I just think you create a slippery slope when you're saying we're an all-weather sport sometimes. I think that is a real dangerous.
You realize this was a public safety thing.
No,
Perloff is joking about it, but it's real.
on the safety thing.
Oh, come on. Yes, public safety is an issue, but they've ignored public safety in the past. I mean, why is it so much safer today?
Right.
They ignored public safety. What did Maggie just say? They ignored it. People died last time.
Yeah.
Not for a Bills game. They were saying
but to Perloff's point, they did ignore public safety when it came to the Kansas City Chiefs game. They did.
Yeah, I mean that was crazy dangerous. Although there is a big having bad weather games. That's a memorable game. The Andy Reid icicle mustache is a lasting image. Right. If we think about one of the two of the most famous games ever were cold weather games. So there is an advantage. I understand what EJ's saying. Listen, I'm obviously kidding around here. If it is a public safety issue, but it does seem a little fishy to me that it just happens to help the Bills that it's sort of dry out.
I mean,
yeah, because it's not going to be snowing and it's probably going to be a little less windy. I saw it yesterday. It was crazy. It looked like a made up video of how bad the snow was whipping around all over the stadium. That would have been really hard to play.
Now, what I will say is this is much better for everybody who's watching. Like, that Chiefs game sucked. Like, who wanted to watch that?
It was
I know.
Cold weather, very bad weather football, especially in playoff time, is not good.
That's why I think I'm in favor of domes for everybody. Now, I get
totally
crucified for that because people are like, oh, football weather, the elements are part of it. But to be honest, I'd rather watch what we got between, Cowboys, the Detroit Lions. Like, I'd rather see it in a dome and you don't have to worry about the weather.
That's because all your salary cap is going to your quarterback and you want a dome because your team is built for a dome.
Well, to be honest, though.
You're basically making up these humanitarian or other reasons when you just want to help the Bills get to the Super Bowl.
No, what I'm saying is,
I
don't know if it would have mattered if it was in a dome. Would it have mattered if the game was in a dome Saturday if you can't get to and from the stadium?
At least Philadelphia politicians are honest. If they thought it could neutralize the other quarterback, they would have played a game in the middle of Hurricane Sandy. They do not care. They are all about winning football, and they admit it, unlike the faux New York politicians.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't think – I think the New York politicians have realized, like, this is in the football god's hands. Nothing you can do. Your best laid plans – you can't control this kind
But
of
I agree with EJ. Football is not a sport that cancels for weather. It's so rare. I mean, it's just an unusual situation.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I get this, so I understand that it would have been terrible
football. They moved to
football.
Detroit last year to play a game against the Browns. I mean, this has been a bit of a unique situation, even for Buffalo.
And this is quite frankly where the NFL need to step in and say, "Hey, new stadium, you need a retractable roof."
Yeah,
and my thing is, look, like I think for me, like I'm all for Buffalo wanting home field advantage with the cold weather. Make it retractable. You can 20-degree weather, 10-degree weather. Yeah, fine. It's whatever.
My tax is already high enough. EJ, retractable roofs are really expensive.
Well, that's
make the owners pay for it.
No, Buffalo, New York, you're going to put in. Yeah, that's never going to happen. You're going to have a $4 billion stadium for the smallest market in the league, except for Green Bay.
How about the billionaires pay for their own stadium?
Yeah.
So how about that?
They can afford it.
I also think a roof would not have changed this decision.
That's what I'm saying.
The point was getting back and forth and using people who should be clearing roads and saving other people from saving football fans.
Meanwhile, so they did ask people to come to the stadium, not during the travel ban, after the travel ban was over. And it was BYOS, bring your own shovel, to dig out the seats. And there's a moment that's going viral where they have like a snow chute.
Yeah.
And a shirtless gentleman gets on the chute and rides it all the way down the stadium. And I'm wondering, do you think they paid that guy? So it's $20 an hour to come help shovel plus free food. But if you get caught riding the snow chute, did they basically just tell you to go home?
I think they pay you and tell you to go home. That's enough, Tommy.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
He cleaned it up. He rode the chute down, and it got the snow down even faster.
I know, what a hero.
He should get paid.
He had the shirt off, just whipping it like a terrible towel over his head.
I wouldn't be very picky with rules.
I get the feeling there were not a lot of authorities monitoring the situation.
He rode the snowshoe like it was a slide at the playground. Bogusch has headlines, yes.
A few things bring us together as a country, like celebrating a Cowboy playoff loss.
Prescott in the shotgun, Pollard to his left. And he takes the snap, fakes the handoff, tight pocket, throws it, it's intercepted. Intercepted back the other way. It's going to be a pick six for Darnell Savage. Oh, my goodness.
Wayne Larrivee on Packers Radio. Green Bay storming to a 27-0 lead in Dallas. They won 48-32, authoring the latest Cowboy playoff stinker. Jerry Jones asked postgame if this was the worst loss he can remember.
It's a complete crap.
The owner didn't answer questions about Mike McCarthy's job status or any pending roster decisions. Jerry's team is now the first one ever to win 12 or more games for 3 straight seasons and not make a conference title game in any of them. The Packers, meanwhile, now 7-2 since their 3-6 start. Jordan Love still hot, throwing for 272 yards and 3 scores. Up next, the Niners in Santa Clara Saturday night. Just 1 touchdown pass from Jared Goff, but he was also a winner against his former team, so his current one was pumped up.
Jared Goff! Jared Goff! Jared Goff! Jared Goff!
How Goff returned to the Lion locker room after last night's 24-23 nail-biter with the Rams. Detroit managing just 1 field goal in the second half, but got stingy in the red zone in the second, forcing LA to kick just 2 short field goals. They also forced a punt near midfield with 4 minutes left, and then Goff's offense ran out the clock. The Lions get their first playoff win since '92, and now they have 2 home games in the same postseason for the first time ever, hosting the Eagles or the Bucs Sunday afternoon. The Chargers,
it's a very chantable name.
Right?
Jared Goff. Jared.
It's like
3
the
syllables.
syllables.
Yeah, you
two
could
It's
do
like
in one.
Teddy Bridgewater.
Or
It's not the same.
Dak Prescott. That's not good. And no one's
Nobody
chanting
does
that.
that.
Ain't chanting that.
CeeDee Lamb.
Maybe on his,
Lamb.
way, on his way to the airport, maybe.
The Chargers reportedly meeting with Jim Harbaugh today in L.A. The Raiders may want to chat as well. Back in Michigan, QB J.J. McCarthy, running back Blake Corum declare for the draft. And Washington football hiring Arizona's Jed Fish to replace Kalen DeBoer. Fish gets a 7-year deal said to be worth $7.75 million a season. Maybe you missed this over the weekend. The Bulls unveiled their new Ring of Honor Friday night. The late Jerry Krause, one of 13 honored, and fans booed his name, with many, of course, blaming him for the breakup of the Jordan Bulls. The boos made Jerry's widow Thelma cry courtside. Former Bull, current Warrior head coach Steve Kerr, not happy.
The fans who booed, they know who they are, and that's to me, it's absolutely shameful, and I'm devastated by that.
This sucked. Fans suck. They always suck, but this one sucked more than usual.
No. I think anybody like Kerr or anyone who looks at the fans and is waving their finger at the fans, wrong person. There's one person to blame about why Jerry Krause got booed. We all know who it is.
And he wasn't there Friday.
Yeah, and it's Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And if he had not made the documentary where the villain is Jerry Krause, and we were all huddled in our homes during the pandemic and watched it and turned him into enemy number 1. It's Michael Jordan's fault.
I'm older. I remember Jerry Krause. He kicked Jordan Pippen out and drafted Eddie Curry and Tyson Chandler. Trust me, people in Chicago did not need the documentary. They hated him already.
Dude, but I don't think they would have, time kind of bygones. Jordan brought it back up, ripped the scab back off again, and this is, you cannot say that Jordan didn't have a hand in what happened that night.
No, what happened? Who cares? She got booed. I've been booed a million times.
fans got to have some.
What happened? What happened? Nobody got beat up. What do you mean? What happened? Who cares? She got booed.
You made a lady cry. You booed the widow.
I made a lady cry. Oh my gosh! Go to Philly. We'll show you a booing.
You guys suck too.
I know you didn't throw a D battery at her.
Yeah,
to be fair, I don't know if just watching the video, it seemed. I don't know if the fans knew they were booing her Only because the video, it shows like Jerry Krause's face, and then the wipe goes to her crying, and I hope at that point people realize what they were doing.
Okay. It's a ring of honor.
They shouldn't be booing anybody. I totally agree with that.
They should leave it alone. Move on to the next thing. Don't react.
Also, I mean, let's be honest. Like, if you're really going to boo a deceased person, don't they have to have committed a higher crime than the dynasty ended? I mean, come on. And Pippen was leaving anyway.
I don't know. This is sports. I totally disagree
Honestly,
with that.
Bulls fans, they embarrassed themselves. To me, they showed me they don't know anything about basketball. Because I don't care what documentary. They could have made that documentary and make him look like he was the Joker, okay? Like, your team won 6 championships and he was the general manager. The idea that you could look at that and say, no, somehow he's a villain, we need to boo him on Ring of Honor night?
Right.
That's, to me, like, they really, like, I'm a Knicks fan, so I already don't love Bulls fans anyway, but I lost a lot of respect for Chicago Bulls fans. Any I had remaining. Because, to me, you guys taught me you guys don't know anything about basketball.
I think that, yes, you're not supposed to boo right there, but you guys cannot just dismiss Jordan's role in this. With the recent history.
He has blame.
How many people learned about, not in Chicago, but how many people, it brings things up, you know, you may have forgotten things from the 90s. It was a long time ago. And now it's all super fresh, and they booed the winner.
Maggie, it takes one Google search to see, oh, Jordan says this guy sucks. Let me look. Oh, Jerry Krause led to 6 championships. Okay, maybe he wasn't so bad. Like, come on. Like Michael Jordan tells me jump over a bridge. I'm jumping over a bridge. Like, these people gotta be smarter than that.
Okay, but EJ, how revered is Jordan? It's like he never missed a shot. The history of Michael Jordan is, in your mind, he never played for the Wizards. There's a lot of things. We do a lot of revisionist history here. Jordan was an all-time great winner, but winning in a maniacal way. That movie needed a villain. It was easy that it was Krause because he maybe was in real life, but to the extent that they vilified him in that documentary led to that.
Well, and you can vilify him and boo him, just not then. Just
feel like
not that one situation.
Real jealousy as a Philly fan. Booing a deceased GM's widow, that's next level. Man, if there was somebody...
You're jealous of that?
Oh, yeah.
You're looking for a target?
Missed
I mean,
opportunity?
listen, our claim to fame is booing Santa Claus. That was pretty good, but this is approaching it. Like, yes.
Bring me Mrs. Claus?
You're like, blame Michael Jordan. I mean, I'm so sorry, Miss Krause. I'm sorry you lost your husband, but this is not... I don't care.
Krause did say when he was alive, he didn't like... He understood the booing, but... The only time that he didn't like it was when his wife was there and his wife would cry.
Wait, Mag, you're the one who said don't bring kids to the press conference as a buffer when everyone's mad at you. So this is like, who cares about a coach's or GM's family?
Jerry Krause didn't make the decision. He was like, did they have a seance and told her to go?
I think it's in his will.
855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227. All right. Let's get this thing back on track. The Cowboys, they blew it. We'll talk about it next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Andrew Perloff, CBS Sports Radio. Want to get some of your phone calls in. John is in South Carolina, has a thought on the Cowboys and their big loss to the Green Bay Packers. Hey, John, what's up?
Hey, great show. Good to listen to you folks. The Cowboys and the Browns are suffering from two curses. The Browns got the Super Bowl curse because they haven't done anything since the Super Bowl was created, and they used to be a great team back in the day. Mm-hmm. And the Cowboys got Jerry Jones.
Yep.
And until, I don't know what the Browns can do to get rid of their curse because that Super Bowl ain't going away, but until the Cowboys do something with Jerry Jones, which they can't do because it is Jerry Jones, it just can't work with anybody he hires. I just can't see it. And as far as those fans booing, I'm 70. I watched Jordan play. Yeah, he's great, but I still think the Browns are better. But he was a hard person, and yeah, he caused that booing of that widow thing, even though they weren't booing the widow.
They were just booing the memory of the former GM. John, thank you for that. You know, it's funny let's go to the Jerry Jones thing, because we were also talking about the Bulls fans booing their former GM, who's since passed away, getting inducted to the Ring of Honor. But Jerry has won Super Bowls. It's the firing of Jimmy Johnson, and since then that he hasn't. And he did win with Switzer. And then, when does the curse start?
I don't know if curse. I mean, this isn't a curse. Means superstitious. This is reality. The structure of the team is something about the way Jerry Jones runs that team limits how far they can go. It's just the reality of the situation.
We'll see what they do with head coach Mike McCarthy. Meanwhile, Jim Harbaugh is going to be meeting with the Chargers today about their head coaching job. Will they let him out of the building, quote unquote? Anthony's in D.C. Anthony, we've left you with not much time. What's going on, pal?
Hey, first-time listener, and fortunately first-time caller. Real quickly, the Chicago Bulls, those so-called fans need to have their season tickets revoked immediately. And then number two, there is no curse for the Cowboys. They just need a real football staff that knows how to coach in the playoffs.
Yeah. Anthony, thank you for finding the show and hope we've turned you into a listener. We've got to go. We've left no time. I don't know if I'd take the season tickets away. It'd be hard to do that. The first time Bulls fans have shown any kind of passion about their team in a long time, it was super misguided.
Oh, come on.
Thank you to
The
EJ
Philly guy in the room is like, you want to see booing? Wish tonight's game was in Philly. If the Eagles lose, there will be booing.
EJ and Pete and Kaplan and Bogish, the Weedos, the coffee drinkers, and the callers. Thanks, everyone.
You're in a 5-minute break.